Chapter 1055. Tell me, where's that dog? City Lord Feng condescendingly looked at Bufang. His entire body emitted a terrifying aura. That aura was so intimidating that it made people shiver. This change was beyond everyone's expectation. However, when City Lord Feng said that, people felt that it was reasonable. Turns out, City Lord Feng is here to find that dog. He's worthy of his title as the Grandmaster of Dog Meat. All the dogs in the 5th layer have been eaten. How could the great demon know anything about a dog? If City Lord Feng wants a dog, it's definitely not an ordinary dog. The audience quickly pulled themselves together. Immediately, they burst into an uproar. Following City Lord Feng's words, they started to discuss unceasingly. When Mingqi heard the audience's discussion, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That dog wasn't an ordinary dog, but that dog. How could City Lord Feng dare to eat it? The vermilion robe on Bufang's body had turned scarlet, and the 2 wings on his back had spread out. He had entered a vigilant state. All of you, shut up. A cold shout reverberated through the entire square. The audience shut their mouths. They didn't dare to say anything, and they didn't dare to talk anymore. City Lord Feng's power was really terrifying. How could they dare to disobey him? The crowd quieted down. City Lord Feng's eyes fell on Bufang. Speak. Otherwise, you know what will happen to you. City Lord Feng said indifferently. The sound of something tearing through the air resounded. Mengqi's figure floated above the arena. Her long hair fluttered, and her beauty was unimaginable. Indeed, she was as charming as a goddess. City Lord Feng, you've crossed the line, Mengqi said indifferently. If you want to find that dog, use your ability to find it. Why do you have to make things difficult for a little chef? This little chef has a close relationship with that dog. That Tong Wudi from the 1st layer told me about it. You should know about it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. City Lord Feng glanced at Mengqi, speaking casually. Then you should use a gentler method. Mengqi frowned, looking at City Lord Feng. As the City Lord of an immortal city in the 5th layer, you should at least have some poise, right? Bullying an immortal chef like this is really inexcusable. City Lord Feng took a deep breath. This kid is related to that dog. I just want to know where that dog is. City Lord Feng said coldly. His voice contained a trace of impatience. Mengqi felt more and more strange. This wasn't City Lord Feng's style. Why are you in such a hurry to find that dog? Why are you in such a hurry? Mengqi took a deep breath and said, Boom! His words fell. City Lord Feng's tense mind finally trembled. A terrifying aura erupted from his body. His eyes widened as he stared at City Lord Mengqi, as if he could see through the void. There is no why. I'm not in a hurry. I just want to find that dog. City Lord Feng shouted. At this moment, the onlookers sucked in a breath of cold air. City Lord Feng's condition was a little strange. He shouted at Mengqi, saying that even if you're the City Lord of the 5th layer, you can't. Some of Mengqi's die-hard fans wanted to say something. However, before they could say anything, City Lord Feng glared at them, making them scared out of their wits. Too scary, Grandmaster Dog Meat. Damn, too scary. Mengqi became vigilant. City Lord Feng was really strange, which made her more vigilant. Don't stop me. Don't force me to attack you. City Lord Feng said coldly. A buzzing sound echoed. A kitchen knife suddenly fell into City Lord Feng's hand. That kitchen knife's power was incomparably sharp. The moment it appeared, the power it released shocked everyone. It's a top-grade, immortal tool. What a powerful kitchen knife. If I have this kitchen knife, I won't have to worry about my cooking skills anymore. A top-grade kitchen knife. Even in the entire Heaven Chief realm, there aren't many of them. No matter how much they were afraid of City Lord Feng's power, the audience couldn't help but discuss. The Heaven Chief realm experts had already left the arena. They frowned, watching the situation in the arena. That situation seemed a little complicated. City Lord Feng wanted to deal with the Great Demon, but City Lord Mengqi wanted to protect the Great Demon. The relationship between them. TSK, TSK, TSK. City Lord Mengqi's immortal robe fluttered. Her beautiful eyes gazed at City Lord Feng as she said coldly, You want to attack me? The kitchen knife in City Lord Feng's hand spun unceasingly, tearing the void. If you leave, I won't attack you. But if you insist on stopping me, I won't hesitate to attack you, City Lord Feng said. You're really strange. At this moment, Mengqi finally confirmed that there was something strange about City Lord Feng. You shut up. City Lord Feng was enraged. In just a blink of an eye, he disappeared from his spot. A moment later, he reappeared right in front of City Lord Mengqi. Mengqi's eyes shrank. Her immortal robe fluttered, and a terrifying gust of wind blew. Buzz, the kitchen knife spun fast, cutting through the air. Mengqi's eyes shrank. She had a bad premonition. The kitchen knife changed rapidly in the air. Shortly after, it turned into tens of thousands of knife lights, falling and turning into a cage, covering City Lord Mengqi. Boom, boom, boom. City Lord Mengqi couldn't break the knife energy cage every time she attacked. Mengqi's eyes shrank. Anger surged in her heart. Feng Guanzhong, what are you feeling guilty about? Let me out. City Lord Feng coldly looked at Mengqi, but he didn't say anything. He took a step forward, directly passing City Lord Mengqi, appearing in front of Bu Feng. The vermilion robe on Bu Feng's body bloomed with scarlet radiance, resisting the pressure. Tell me, or not, City Lord Feng asked indifferently, looking down on them once again. Bu Feng's face was emotionless, looking indifferent. Green smoke twirled in his hand. Then the dragon bone kitchen knife fell into his hand. A dragon roar echoed. The dragon bone kitchen knife bloomed with gold light, turning into a big machete. Then Bu Feng rested it on his shoulder. Seems you don't want to tell me. I'm not in the mood to play with you. I'll kill you to force that dog out. Boom! His body seemed to teleport. A moment later, City Lord Feng's figure appeared in front of Bu Feng. In the judge's seat, the judges were petrified. Why would City Lord Feng attack a little heaven chief? The wings on Little Dit's back flapped. He soared up into the sky, placing his hands on his waist. His lower body bloomed with holy light. Feng Guanzhong, what are you doing? You're so unscrupulous in the Heaven Chief competition. Do you still have the Realm Lord in your eyes? Little Dit was enraged. City Lord Feng's eyes focused, coldly glancing at Little Dit. A moment later, he punched out. Little Dit was bewildered. City Lord Feng's punch directly smashed him. Everybody was petrified. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. City Lord Feng really had a strong, murderous aura. Noisy thing. City Lord Feng exhaled coldly. Then his eyes fell on Bu Feng. His palms slapped. Tell me or not. Rumble. As his palms slapped down, the void shattered unceasingly. Everybody felt as though their hearts were being squeezed by a big hand. In a wooden house on the top floor of the Heaven Chief competition, a pitiful scream rang out. Damn you, Feng Guanzhong. He actually blew up this realm lord's little brother. So infuriating. Boom. The wooden house's door was blown open. Under Yaya's shocked eyes, Realm Lord Dit dashed out. His naked body was naked, and his face was filled with anger. He cursed City Lord Feng. I'm going to find him. You have to take responsibility for blowing up my little brother. Realm Lord Dit cursed. He walked to the edge, slightly bent his body, intending to jump. However, after jumping a short distance, Yaya pulled him back. My Realm Lord, Your Highness, do you want to go to the Heaven Chief competition naked? Do you want to let the entire Heaven Chief competition know that the Realm Lord is a flasher? Yaya was speechless. Swish, a brocade robe emerged from Yaya's hand, covering Realm Lord Dit's body. Why not? Isn't it good to let everyone experience the art of nudity? Realm Lord Dit asked suspiciously. Good my ass. Put on your clothes. This time, you can't blow up your clothes, and you can't tear them in public. Otherwise, the Realm Lord, will lose all your face. Yaya helped Realm Lord Dit adjust his collar and sleeves, then said seriously. Realm Lord Dit swung his long, blonde hair, impatiently indicating that he understood. Then, he angrily walked to the edge again. Slightly bending his body, he jumped. He leapt with anger. Swish! He landed on the 5th layer. Facing this slap, Bu Feng's eyes shrank to the extreme. He didn't run, and he didn't want to run. His mind flickered, and at this moment, his spirit sea surged with great waves. Rumble. Bufong's mental force spread out in an instant, turning into ripples that spread out in all directions. When the onlookers felt this mental force, they were shocked. Lu Yi's face stiffened. What a strong mental force! However, to City Lord Feng, this mental force was no different from an ant. Bufong took a deep breath. Instantly, a dragon roar echoed in his spirit sea. His mental force soared. The black tortoise roared, and the vermilion bird cried. Bufong's mental force soared. In just a blink of an eye, it had broken through the shackles. Holding the dragon bone kitchen knife in his hand, his spirit, energy, and soul gathered under this knife. Rumble. City Lord Feng's slap came. With the power of City Lord Feng, a peak expert in the Heaven Chief realm, if this slap landed, Bufong would be smashed into smithereens. However, Bufong didn't run. He stood motionless at his spot. The audience felt helpless for the great demon. Even if it's the great demon, he's scared out of his wits. How could the great demon resist a City Lord expert? He must be so scared that his legs turned soft. Sigh. What a pity. The audience sighed with emotion. Facing City Lord Feng, they naturally thought that Bufong would die. At this moment, City Lord Feng was furious. Even City Lord Mengqi was trapped. How could Bufong run away? In people's eyes, Bufong was scared out of his wits. Boom! His palm finally fell. A terrifying explosion shook the entire arena, sending rubble everywhere. In the rubble, the referee was sent flying, vomiting blood. He fell outside the arena. City Lord Feng's palm had wounded him badly. The arena instantly shone with dazzling light. Explosions echoed everywhere. All of a sudden, the audience's eyes shrank as they saw an unbelievable scene. Above the arena, the radiance gradually dispersed. Slowly, the scene inside was revealed. Bufong slowly raised his arm, which was covered with bandages, to resist City Lord Feng's deadly strike. It was the invincibility of the vermilion robe. The kitchen knife in Bufong's other hand trembled. A moment later, a dot of light seemed to tear through the endless darkness. In City Lord Feng's eyes, it bloomed unceasingly. Bufong exhaled a long breath. All of a sudden, he wielded the kitchen knife, aiming at City Lord Feng's head. One blade, cutting immortal. Chapter 1056. Bufong's action had stunned the entire audience. When the dust had dispersed, the ruined arena was exposed in everybody's sight. What was left was only the sound of people taking in cold breaths and exclaiming in fear. That scene was hard to imagine. It was as if a 3-year-old child was holding a long sword and stabbing at a general clad in steel armor. It was filled with a strange sense of incongruity. Mengqi was sealed in the saber formation. She wanted to break it, but she couldn't do anything. However, when she saw the scene not far away, even someone as mentally strong as her was stunned by it. Her plump red lips were slightly agape as she watched in bewilderment. Boom! City Lord Feng's palm didn't kill Bufong. On the contrary, Bufong had blocked it with a backhand. He had easily blocked it without any effort. How could it be? Whether it was the others or City Lord Feng, their minds shivered. Actually, it was the invincibility of the vermilion robe. However, it could only be used this time. Within a short time, the invincibility of the vermilion robe would enter a cool-down period. During this cool-down period, Bufong would be in danger. Thus, Bufong had to counterattack. He couldn't just sit and wait for death. His spirit sea surged with earth-shaking waves. At this moment, the gold dragon, black, and vermilion bird spirits burst out to the extreme, pushing Bufong's mental force to a terrifying level. It was also the strongest mental force that Bufong could burst out. Boom, boom, boom. Bufong's body seemed to surge with waves. Everyone who sensed this mental energy was shocked. Could a one-star true immortal realm expert burst out with this kind of mental force? Many people remembered the situation when Bufong had tested his mental force. At that time, Bufong hadn't used his full power. Today, Bufong was the great demon with the strongest mental force. All of his psychic energy poured down like a torrent. In an instant, they gathered on the dragon bone kitchen knife in Bufong's left hand. The Tao Dai arm blocked City Lord Feng's palm, startling him. Bufong took advantage of the time when his opponent was stunned and decided to counterattack. He struck back with the force of a thunderbolt, causing the other party's mind to tremble. In the instant that the other party was unable to react in time, he struck back. The golden light was dazzling, and the dragon's roar shook the sky. A single blade, beheading immortals. The knife skill, the immortal cutting style, was the most powerful attack that Bufong could perform so far. Although the Overlord 13 Blades was strong, Bufong knew that it was not enough to deal with City Lord Feng in front of him. His true energy cultivation base was too weak, so it would be hard for him to hurt City Lord Feng. His only chance was the immortal decapitation style that he had yet to master very well. The blade light bloomed in City Lord Feng's eyes, as if it had come from the depths of the endless void. In just a blink of an eye, it was dazzling and filled his eyes. City Lord Feng's eyes shrank. He was somewhat bewildered. In his mental world, he seemed to see a figure standing proudly in heaven and earth. That figure was illusory, somewhat similar to Bufong. He gently slashed with his blade. Under this blade, the scene in front of City Lord Feng's eyes shattered inch by inch. All of a sudden, City Lord Feng felt his entire body being shrouded in a cold aura. His eyes bloomed with thousands of beams of light. Boom! A terrifying blast of air erupted from his body. The true energy light shot up into the sky, as if it wanted to blast a hole in the sky. At that moment, City Lord Feng couldn't control his cultivation base anymore, bursting out his strongest power. Boom! Bufong's figure was blown away by this energy wave. His body flipped in the air, and the flaming wings on his back flapped. He steadied himself, landed on the ground, and flew far away. The blade array collapsed in just a blink of an eye. City Lord Mengqi felt suffocated. Her body floated far away. Rumble, a ripple-like energy fluctuation spread out. The people in the spectators' stand were swaying unsteadily. Their hearts were pounding violently as they felt a sense of terror. Is this City Lord Feng's strongest power? So scary. Just his aura alone suffocates me. Too scary. Worthy of being a city lord. Worthy of being a Qilin chef. The audience patted their chests in fear, looking at City Lord Feng, who was standing in the ruins of the arena. Mengqi's eyes were like torches, her red lips tightly pursed. Feng Guanzhong's cultivation base. How could it be so strong? It seemed like he had increased several times in just one night. Could it be that the previous Feng Guanzhong had been hiding his cultivation? Mengqi looked at Feng Guanzhong, feeling as if a haze had shrouded her heart. You! Damn it! City Lord Feng's face was cold and solemn. He tilted his neck, reaching his hand to wipe his neck. There was a cut on his neck, and from there drops of blood oozed out. Wiping the blood off his neck, City Lord Feng's powerful recovery ability healed his wound. However, City Lord Feng's face darkened. He was the City Lord of the 5th layer, a peak existence in the Heaven Chief realm. Unexpectedly, he was wounded by a 1-star true immortal realm expert. His neck had almost been cut off. This was really shameful. When the audience saw City Lord Feng's action, they couldn't help but exclaim in disbelief. The Great Demon hurt City Lord Feng. Unreasonable. The Great Demon is really a monster. A 1-star true immortal realm expert could actually hurt City Lord Feng. The gap between their cultivation bases is like the gap between heaven and earth. The audience sucked in a breath of cold air, feeling even more incredulous. Indeed, the way the Great Demon did things was beyond people's expectations. Bufong panted hard. He had retrieved the dragon bone kitchen knife, and his face was a little pale. Activating the power of the 3 tool spirits wasn't a small burden to Bufong. At this moment, his spirit sea had almost stopped flowing. Using the cutting immortal style with all his power had almost drained all the true energy in Bufong's body, and his mental force was almost drained. However, the cutting immortal style couldn't behead City Lord Feng. Bufong couldn't help but feel a little regretful. However, if the people around him knew the regret in his heart, they would definitely curse at him. It was already incredible that a one-star true immortal realm expert could hurt City Lord Feng. Did the great demon want to kill City Lord Feng with one slash? That was a City Lord expert whose power stood at the peak of the Heaven Chief realm. He was an existence that overlooked the entire Heaven Chief realm. Even world overlords wouldn't be able to kill a City Lord so easily. Where did the great demon get his confidence to kill a City Lord expert with one strike? Boom! City Lord Feng clasped his hands. The pressure from his body made the crushed rocks on the ground unceasingly shatter. His murderous aura shot up to the sky, and his eyes were cold. Step by step, his footsteps were like ear-piercing bells, which made people's hearts beat along with his footsteps. That was a very difficult thing to bear. City Lord Feng looked down at Bufong. His eyes were cold and murderous, as if he wanted to wrap Bufong entirely. City Lord Mengqi took a step forward, standing in front of Bufong. Feng Guanzhong, you're hiding something from us. City Lord Mengqi shouted coldly. Her eyes were like torches, gazing at City Lord Feng. City Lord Feng coldly scanned City Lord Mengqi, speaking indifferently. At our level, who doesn't have a secret? There's no need to hide it. Get out of my way. Otherwise, I'll kill you too. City Lord Feng said. The flame of rage in his heart had been ignited by Bufong. Only by killing that ant could he relieve the hatred in his heart. Of course, killing that ant would force the black dog that had taken the Qilin chef's heart to come out. You're a City Lord. How could you be so brutal? City Lord Mengqi roared. He wanted to kill her too? Was Feng Guanzhong crazy? In the arena, the audience stood up. When they heard that Feng Guanzhong wanted to kill City Lord Mengqi too, they couldn't sit still anymore. Unable to sit still any longer, he stood up and wanted to protest. However, as soon as they stood up, they hadn't even opened their mouths. Feng Guanzhong's gaze shot over. Raising his hand, he pointed at the audience's position and suddenly squeezed the audience, who had stood up, instantly spurted a mouthful of blood. His entire body was killed by the invisible blade energy. He slumped on the ground, his vitality gone. Hiss! Hiss! Tyrant! This was everyone's impression of City Lord Feng, killing without saying a word. This fellow was simply a demon. You, get lost. City Lord Feng coldly looked at Mengqi. This move was to kill the chicken to warn the monkey. He wanted to make Mengqi back off. Behind Mengqi, Bufong slowly stood up. The dragon bone kitchen knife descended, and the black turtle constellation Wok appeared. With the dragon bone kitchen knife in his left hand and the black turtle constellation Wok in his right, he coldly looked at City Lord Feng. His heart was calm. Mengqi didn't retreat. Her immortal robe fluttered, and her eyes became sharp. I won't let you kill without permission. Since it's like that, die. City Lord Feng said coldly. His hand shook, and a deep blue kitchen knife appeared in his hand. That illusory kitchen knife had tens of thousands of blade energy bursting out. Suddenly, it slashed at Mengqi. Boom, boom, boom. The entire ground was collapsing fast. Mengqi took a deep breath. Her immortal robe fluttered, releasing an invisible wave of energy to stop City Lord Feng's blade. It's useless. No matter how strong your bluebird immortal robe is, it can't stop me. Buzz, tens of thousands of blade energy beams gathered. They turned into a blade that could cut the heavens, slashing at City Lord Mengqi's immortal robe. Mengqi felt as though a big hand was squeezing her heart. Although the bluebird immortal robe was a top-grade immortal tool, City Lord Feng's cultivation base was too strong. Mengqi understood that the robe couldn't stop him. Once the immortal robe couldn't stop him, she and the little heaven chief behind her would die. In the sky, a deafening rumble suddenly resounded. Feng Guanzhong, how dare you? His voice was ear-piercing, reverberating through the sky. Everybody's hearts pounded, and they couldn't help but lift their heads to look. In the sky, layers of clouds changed. A terrifying figure rapidly descended from the sky, causing the void to constantly shatter. It's Realm Lord His Highness. It seems to be Realm Lord His Highness. I've seen his portrait before. Realm Lord His Highness is alarmed. My Mengqi goddess can be saved. The audience was stirred up, looking at the sky excitedly. City Lord Feng's movement was shaken. However, a moment later, his eyes became sharp. He didn't stop, continuing to slash. He wanted to kill City Lord Mengqi and Bu Feng one more time. Realm Lord Dit's eyes were like torches. Rage surged in his eyes. That Feng Guanzhong wanted to kill his little Meng Meng and little Bu Bu. He had opened his mouth, but he didn't stop. He was a Realm Lord, so how could he not have dignity? Rumble. His speed increased. The clouds in the sky rolled, turning into a fiery red color. It looked like Realm Lord Dit's heart. But he couldn't catch up. City Lord Mengqi also understood this. Her face paled. City Lord Feng didn't stop. His blade slashed, shattering the void inch by inch. His aura was much more terrifying than City Lord Feng's in the past. She's going to die. City Lord Mengqi's face was ashen. The audience was so angry that they wanted to tear their eyes. They were so distressed that they couldn't breathe. Their goddess was going to die. So angry, so hateful. All of a sudden, a faint and gentle voice arose in Mengqi's ears. Don't be nervous. Relax. Bu Feng smashed the black turtle constellation wok on the ground. He raised his hand, placing it on City Lord Mengqi's shoulder. Instantly, the vermilion robe on his body turned fiery red. Flames shot up to the sky. City Lord Mengqi was bewildered. A moment later, a vermilion bird flew out of the flame in her head. Its cries lingered, its flaming wings spreading, covering the sky. The blue bird immortal robe shook. Blue light shot up to the sky. One was a flaming vermilion bird, and the other was a blue bird. The two of them hovered in the air. A moment later, the blade light slashed. Boom! An earth-shaking explosion filled the air. Chapter 10:57. A terrifying explosion erupted. The entire arena once again suffered from a terrifying explosion, causing sand and stones to fly all over the arena. Everyone fell silent as they looked at the stage that was enveloped by the dense blade aura, feeling a wave of pressure. Someone let out a long sigh, a sigh filled with regret. Some of them clutched their heads in grief, their eyes filled with disbelief. Goddess Mengqi, damn it, how can he survive such a terrifying attack? My Goddess Mengqi will not die. The audience didn't believe it and chattered nonstop. They didn't believe that City Lord Mengqi would die. From the sky, World Overlord Dit suddenly descended, bringing with him a terrifying might. He hovered above City Lord Feng. A terrifying gust of wind blew over, fluttering City Lord Feng's clothes in all directions. City Lord Feng held the blue kitchen knife, his face cold. Realm Lord Dit narrowed his eyes. His golden hair fluttered in the wind as a look of anger flashed in his eyes. Feng Guanzhong, you have guts. As the immortal city's city lord, you actually dare to attack the city lord. Realm Lord Dit's cold voice resounded throughout the entire area. It caused everyone to go silent like cicadas in the winter, and none of them dared to make sound. This was the first time many people had seen a world lord. With regard to the realm lord, everyone had always respected his reputation. Now that they met the legendary realm lord, it was actually under such circumstances. At this moment, the situation was really not right. No one dared to speak. I only wanted to force that dog out. Mengqi won't die. At most, she'll be heavily injured. At that time, I'll just have to spend all of my immortal materials as compensation. City Lord Feng said indifferently. His attack was measured, and the saber chi was full of penetrative power. With the defensive power of City Lord Mengqi's blue bird immortal robe, she wouldn't die, but she would definitely be heavily injured. Moreover, that penetrating power would completely annihilate that puny chef. City Lord Feng didn't believe that the dog wouldn't show up. Feeling the coldness in City Lord Feng's eyes, Realm Master Dit took a deep breath. Unreasonable. How dare you treat my little Meng Meng and little Boo Boo like this? In the next instant, a terrifying aura and pressure erupted from World Lord Dit. The moment City Lord Feng sensed this aura and pressure, his complexion changed. He didn't dare to relax. He didn't dare to underestimate the strength of the Realm Lord. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past. Realm Lord Dit and City Lord Feng were bewildered. Their expressions changed as they looked at the ruins. Boom! Waves of air surged out, blowing away the smoke and dust, revealing the scene inside. Dazzling green and fiery red light enveloped half of the arena. The silhouette of a vermilion bird and a blue bird circled in the sky, and light curtains descended from the sky. Under the light curtains, two figures were shrouded. One of them was wearing a scarlet robe, which fluttered in the wind. The other was as beautiful as an immortal. Green light twirled around her body, and her white, immortal robe fluttered. These two were Bufang and City Lord Mengqi. At this moment, Bufang's palm was placed on City Lord Mengqi's fragrant shoulder. His movement seemed to be frozen at this moment. City Lord Mengqi's beautiful face showed astonishment, disbelief, and shyness. Everybody was bewildered. Looking at the two people in the arena, the expressions on their faces instantly froze. City Lord Feng's eyes shrank. He couldn't believe it. Impossible. My judgment couldn't be wrong. How could Mengqi and that kid be unharmed? City Lord Feng took a deep breath, his eyes filled with doubt. Realm Lord Dit blinked. Then, he covered his mouth as if he had seen a ghost. Oh my God, little Meng Meng and little Boo Boo. You did this behind my back. The Realm Lord's voice seemed to wake up the others. Instantly, the sound of people taking in breaths of cold air arose unceasingly. The great demon, let go of your hand. Don't touch my goddess. I want to risk my life against the great demon. Goddess Mengqi, slap him. The audience bared their fangs and brandished their claws, howling in grief. Of course, what irritated them more was City Lord Mengqi's red face. This made them realize how evil the great demon was. Previously, they had pitted the great demon. You also have a top-grade immortal tool? City Lord Feng narrowed his eyes, gazing at Bufang as if he had seen through him. It was a supreme-grade immortal tool. This explained why Bufang could block his slap and even counterattack. He was just an immortal chef, but he had a top-grade immortal tool. City Lord Feng didn't expect that. In the distance, hearing City Lord Feng's words, people were bewildered. Then, they took in breaths of cold air. A top-grade immortal tool? The chef robe that the great demon was wearing was a top-grade immortal tool? It was a top-grade immortal tool, just like the immortal robe Mengqi's goddess? Holy sh**t, that the great demon dared to wear matching clothes with their goddess. This fellow should be dragged out and drowned in a pig cage. The audience was enraged. Of course, some immortal chefs also revealed a look of understanding. So it was like that. No wonder Bufang could turn the tide every time. It turned out that he had a top-grade immortal tool to help him. Shui Yao, Meng Kuan, and the other Heaven Chief were shaken as they felt a tremendous pressure. Originally, Bufang had given them a lot of pressure. After knowing that Bufang had a top-grade immortal tool, the pressure on them increased. He narrowed his eyes. A top-grade immortal tool? In front of absolute power, even an immortal tool couldn't create a miracle. Moreover, Bufang's top-grade immortal tool was just a chef robe, which didn't help his dishes much. However, dressing up as a couple with goddess Mengqi really made people feel uncomfortable. Mengqi was still a little bewildered. That gentle and calm voice rang out, and she still hadn't regained her wits. The vermilion bird that appeared in her head made her stiff. The vermilion bird, the mythical divine beast. Mengqi could feel that her blue bird immortal robe's defense had increased a lot under the summoning of the vermilion bird robe. That little chef's robe was actually of such a high grade. She turned her head to look at Bufang. His expressionless face and calm appearance bewildered Mengqi one more time. Feeling Bufang's warm hand on her shoulder, Mengqi felt her body heat up, shaking slightly. She got rid of Bufang's hand. Bufang was a little bewildered. The vermilion bird and the blue bird in the sky disappeared instantly. City Lord Feng's eyes focused. A moment later, he stepped on the arena. His body tore the void, aiming at Bufong. A knife swept across, and a terrifying knife energy shot out instantly. It contained thick, murderous aura. However, this time, he couldn't do it. Realm Lord Dit would never allow City Lord Feng to kill someone in front of his eyes. He teleported, disappearing from his spot. When he reappeared, he stood in front of Bufong. He raised his hand, slapping the knife energy. The terrifying knife energy kept cutting the Realm Lord's palm, making sharp sounds. Eventually, Realm Lord Dit crushed it. With a clang, the knife energy scattered. Realm Lord, Your Highness, at this moment, City Lord Meng Qi finally noticed Realm Lord Dit. She immediately called him softly. Ah! Realm Lord Dit smiled. He turned his head, answering her. Little Meng Meng, do you miss this Realm Lord? Realm Lord Dit smiled. He used the hand that had crushed the knife energy to rub his golden hair. Instantly, his hair fluttered softly. City Lord Meng Qi's mouth twitched. His Highness, the Realm Lord, was still unreliable. The surrounding audience members also noticed it. They had thought that the Realm Lord, who was supposed to be serious, was flirting with their goddess Meng Qi. How could they tolerate this? Where was the aloof, cold, and domineering Realm Lord? Why did he become as annoying as the great demon? Goddess Meng Qi belonged to everyone. Realm Lord, Your Highness, be careful. All of a sudden, Meng Qi's eyes focused, shouting. In the distance, City Lord Feng had been impatient. This silly Realm Lord didn't put him in his eyes at all. Boom! City Lord Feng's figure flashed, disappearing from his spot. He wanted to approach from another direction to kill Bufong. Realm Lord Dit realized that his figure flashed, disappearing as well. Rumble! Rumble! Waves of knife energy slashed out. In the blink of an eye, they came slashing at him from all directions. The terrifying, murderous aura caused everyone's body to involuntarily stiffen. However, as soon as the knife energy flew out, it was crushed. Realm Lord Di Tai flipped his blonde hair, a proud look on his face. Feng Guanzhong, you're a weak chicken. City Lord Feng landed in the distance. His eyes slightly focused, then he gritted his teeth. He was so angry. Realm Lord, Your Highness, why do you have to protect this ant chef? If you kill him, you can force that dog to come out. Why not? Don't you want to expel that dog from the Heaven Chief realm? City Lord Feng said coldly. Force that black dog to come out. Realm Lord Dit was a little bewildered. Right? That dog has destroyed the will of the Great Path, causing the Heaven Tree to have a mutation. And now, that dog has appeared again. Who knows if he's addicted to the Great Path? That's why he came back to eat it. City Lord Feng said. But what does that have to do with killing Boo Boo? If you have the guts, go find that black dog. What kind of man are you to attack Boo Boo Boo? Realm Lord Dit said, placing his hands on his waist. The corners of Bu Feng's mouth twitched. Why did he feel that those words sounded so strange? City Lord Meng Qi couldn't help but smile. Her beautiful eyes seemed to be interested in Bu Feng. Give me enough time. I can slap that old fellow to death with one hand. Bu Feng said, his face emotionless. He was still too young. If he had enough time, his business would accumulate, and his cultivation base would increase. At that time, he could beat 10 people like City Lord Feng with one hand. He has a close relationship with that dog. City Lord Feng took a deep breath. City Lord Feng took a deep breath. His patience had almost reached its limit. I also have a close relationship with that dog. Why don't you come and deal with me? Realm Lord Dit said confidently, his hand still on his waist. The flame of anger in City Lord Feng's chest erupted in just a blink of an eye. Murderous aura surged in his eyes. The audience couldn't help but twitch their mouths. Turns out you're such a Realm Lord. Just as City Lord Feng was about to go berserk, Realm Lord Dit suddenly smiled oddly at him. Oh, actually, you don't need to kill Boo Boo Boo, because, look behind you. There's a surprise. Realm Lord Dit's words stunned City Lord Feng. A moment later, he felt a terrifying aura diffusing. He couldn't help but turn his head. There a void crack slowly emerged. A crack in the void was torn open, and a black dog walked out with cat-like steps, as well as a netherworld ship that was slowly sailing out. City Lord Feng was startled. A terrifying aura burst out. Blade energy expanded from the azure kitchen knife. "You black dog, you finally showed up." City Lord Feng's eyes sparkled as he shouted. His knife moved as fast as the wind, slashing at Lord Go in the sky. Dog slaughtering knife technique. Rumble, rumble. Tens of thousands of blade energy emerged, filling the entire sky. Everybody could feel a wave of sharpness. Lord Go walked out of the void crack with cat-like steps. He furrowed his brows, looking at City Lord Feng, who was raising his kitchen knife and soaring into the sky. "Lord Go isn't in the mood to play with you. Go play somewhere else." A gentle and magnetic voice resounded. A moment later, Lord Go raised his exquisite dog paw, gently patting at City Lord Feng, who had soared into the sky to kill him. Tens of thousands of blade energy beams shattered. City Lord Feng's eyes shrank. It was a loud rumble. Instantly, he was ruthlessly smashed into the ground, and a huge dog paw print was left on the ground. One paw had sent City Lord Feng flying. Everybody was dumbstruck. That dog wanted to ascend to the sky. Lord Go frowned, his eyes falling on Bufong. He seemed to see City Lord Mengqi standing next to Bufong. Lord Go was a little bewildered, but his eyes didn't linger. He said to Bufong, "Bufong, boy, that little girl needs you." Chapter 1058. Boom. Saying too much makes me cry. Let's see what Bufong, that kid, will do. Lord Go looked at Mengqi, blinking his dog eyes. Without saying anything, he turned around. Realm Lord Dit rubbed his chin, mumbling curiously. Sure enough, City Lord Feng instantly burst out. Blade lights filled the entire sky, sweeping across everything as they slashed towards the black dog. City Lord Feng thundered, his aura rocketing. Instantly, he got rid of Lord Go's paw. "You mangy dog, give me back my stuff. Otherwise, I won't rest until you die." City Lord Feng couldn't believe it. A dog appeared in front of the Grandmaster of Dog Meat. Wasn't this dog courting death? Realm Lord Dit's eyes brightened. The ruins on the ground exploded instantly. Everybody was stunned, looking at this scene. This had led to her being blamed by the other city lords for a long time. That was because she was very confident in her cooking skills. However, Lord Go opened his mouth and barked, challenging Lu Yi, the Heaven Chief. He's crazy. He hasn't condensed the heart of cooking path yet, and the great demon dares to challenge him? However, Mingxi was also curious. Realm Lord Dit's food didn't work, so how could Bufong, the immortal chef's food, work? The arena shook hard. Mingxi clenched her fists, frowning. Mingxi looked at the Realm Lord, saying, "Realm Lord, you also think it's strange?" Feng Guanzhong wasn't that strong before, but he suddenly burst out. There must be something fishy. Mangy dog, die. Because he saw that Yu's face was so pale, it didn't have any color. However, eventually, he was patted down from the sky, landing on the ground. He ran away. Feng Guanzhong is really a weak chicken. Unfortunately, he had underestimated Lord Go's power, which led to his secret being exposed. Boom! Seeing Realm Lord Dit rushing over. Feng Guanzhong thought that the Lord Go was heavily injured, so he wanted to kill the Lord Go and take back the Qilin chef's heart, completely covering up the secret. Hiss! The dog meat grandmaster who had slaughtered all the dogs on the 5th floor of Heaven Chief Realm was defeated by a dog. If the Lord Go is right, that should be the case. That's why he brought Nethery here to look for you. After looking for a while, her pretty face slightly blushed. In his vision, Yu's body was entangled by a green cursed snake. Lu Yi's body suddenly erupted with a pressure that nearly suffocated Shui Yao and the others. City Lord Feng was directly pressed to the ground. The ground exploded, and rocks flew everywhere. There, the one-sided slaughter was still going on. The moment City Lord Feng was sent flying, the entire place became silent. Everyone was so shocked that they didn't even make a sound. Go ahead. Don't feel pressured. I believe in you. Then, her gentle voice resounded throughout the hall. Her furry paw pressed on City Lord Feng's face. Thinking about the flaming vermilion bird that had appeared in her mind, Mengqi's gaze became strange as she looked at Buffon. All right, I've already confirmed my opponent for the next round. It's that guy called Lu Yi. When do we start? Rub. Is this the reason why the Lord of Netherworld looked for you to ask for a dish that could break the curse? She should be the Netherworld woman, right? Facing the mangy dog and the Realm Lord, who weren't injured, City Lord Feng directly chose to run away. No wonder Feng Guanzhong was so anxious to force the Lord go out. The cursed snake, which should have fallen into a deep sleep, woke up. Its green eyes gazed at Buffon, sticking out its tongue. Anyway, why did Feng Guanzhong want to force you out? I always feel that something is strange, Buffon asked. At that time, she had brought the Lord Go into the space of the heaven tree. In the end, the mangy dog, who was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, exploded in the space of the heaven tree, biting the great path. The great demon wants to challenge the champion of the heaven chief competition. Eventually, her beautiful eyes fell on Buffon. The Lord Go indifferently looked at City Lord Feng in the sky, baring his teeth. City Lord Feng retreated several steps in the air, his face frightened. The Realm Lord Dit stood in the distance, pulling the lapel in front of his chest, revealing his white skin. Mengqi looked at Buffon, then suddenly said, "Aren't you in the Heaven Chief competition now? You can cook a dish that can suppress the curse in the next round. That way, you won't waste your spot in the Heaven Chief competition. You've recovered from your injury? Impossible. You were hurt by the will of the Great Path. How could you recover that fast?" The Realm Lord Dit excitedly rubbed his hands. Then he walked away. Before that, he needed to clear the place. The Lord Go's claw shook. Instantly, a silver heart floated above his claw. The Realm Lord Dit said to Mengqi, then disappeared into the void. Buffon, after one incense stick's worth of time, your competition will begin. Take a good rest and prepare. Exhibitionist, why are you here? The Lord Go glanced at the Realm Lord Dit, speaking casually. Now, the Lord Go saw that she still had a guilty conscience. If you have the ability to bite the great path, don't be guilty. Thud, after recovering from the shock, the audience broke into an uproar. Everyone had an incredulous look on their faces. That sanctimonious Feng Guanzhong, the Realm Lord Dit said awkwardly. City Lord Feng shouted. A moment later, his aura rose unceasingly, setting off a monstrous energy storm. The azure kitchen knife became more dazzling. When she glanced at you, seeing the latter's pitch-black eyes turn to look at her, she immediately smiled tenderly. Okay, then, I will arrange your competition immediately. Buffon's mind shook. Maybe it's because of this, The Lord Go is in a bad mood. You're just a punching bag. It would be a waste if I don't beat you up. The Lord Go said casually. You really want to challenge Lu Yi? Are you sure you don't want to change? If you lose, how are you going to cook a dish to suppress the curse for this little girl? Lu Yi, who was below the stage, was a little surprised. However, he wasn't too surprised. He wasn't afraid of anyone's challenge. A moment later, the arm wrapped in bandages trembled. The bandages spread out. He reached out, touching the space between Yu's eyebrows. The void shattered inch by inch. The Realm Lord Dit shrugged. Then his eyes fell on Buffon. The moment he raised his head, Buffon's eyes shrank. Yes, City Lord Mengqi also sensed the silver heart floating above the Lord Go's claw. Mengqi frowned, looking at Buffon. City Lord Feng was pressed to the ground by the Lord Go's claw, and the ground instantly exploded. The Lord Go retrieved the silver Qilin chef's heart. Looking at Buffon and Yu, he nodded to Buffon. Then, he also entered the void, seemingly chasing after City Lord Feng. With a smile on her face, she looked at Lord Dog. Then, he swung his claw again. Lu Yi clasped his hands, looking at Buffon with his torch-like eyes. A fat black dog stood proudly in the void. A pitch-black netherworld ship slowly emerged from the void crack. The audience was a little speechless. They didn't know what to say to the unscrupulous, the great demon. The Lord Go swatted City Lord Feng away, as if he was swatting a fly. Then, he turned to Buffon. Buffon was a little bewildered, looking at the void and the netherworld ship suspiciously. City Lord Feng's face was extremely ugly. The dog meat grandmaster was sent flying by a dog. Am I seeing things? He had long been dissatisfied with Feng Guanzhong, who dared to attack him right in front of his eyes. He didn't care about his face as a realm lord. Inside the netherworld ship, Yu slowly crawled out, her hair disheveled. City Lord Feng suddenly paused. City Lord Mengqi also walked over. City Lord Feng retreated several steps, his face extremely ugly. The suppression of the curse seems to be loosening. Is it okay? Bufong furrowed his brows. The head of the Dit family grimaced. He seemed to think of something. A moment later, he directly smashed the void, chasing after them. At this moment, City Lord Feng was already in a sorry state. His clothes were stained with blood. Then he exhaled deeply. A moment later, he turned around, slashing the void with his kitchen knife, creating a massive crack. As soon as Bufong's words fell, Mengqi was bewildered. Bufong, kid, Nethery needs you. Knife light filled the air, pouring down in torrents. Taking a deep breath, the sorrow on Mengqi's beautiful face faded away. She needs your dish to suppress it. This realm lord doesn't understand. Why can your dish suppress the curse? Why can't this realm lord? Is it because of my character? Mengqi gently asked Bufong. What kind of dog is that? How could it be so strong? The corners of Lord Go's mouth twitched. Then, he appeared in front of City Lord Feng as though he had teleported. Mengqi's voice was so gentle that it made people feel like they were bathing in the spring breeze. Feng Guanzhong's aura is a little strange. It seems he's much stronger than before. He has reached that threshold. When the head of the Dit family saw the heart, his eyes shrank. Mengqi seemed to understand something. She covered her mouth and laughed. City Lord Mengqi looked at Lord Go's figure dashing away, rolling her eyes elegantly. The head of the Dit family tugged at the front of his robe. Damn it, Feng Guanzhong, that cunning fellow. Do you need help? The head of the Dit family tugged at his blonde hair as he asked. He turned his head to look at the two black-cloaked men standing under the arena. His eyes were deep. After giving them a look, he stepped into the void crack and fled. When City Lord Feng stepped into the void crack, the head of the Dit family clasped his hands as he came over. City Lord Feng roared. His aura erupted as he wanted to resist. His roar shook the world. City Lord Feng soared up into the sky. His eyes shot out murderous intent. His heart throbbed. As the head of the Heaven Chief realm, his dish wasn't as good as Bufong's. This was really shameful. In a flash, Mengqi's eyes also turned to look at him. None of them had expected that a dog would actually appear. The Lord Go said casually. City Lord Feng's knife light was instantly broken, and his face changed. City Lord Feng, who was incomparably powerful, was smashed down from the sky, smashing into the arena. The violent shaking caused the arena to completely collapse, and a huge paw print appeared on it. Yu pursed her lips, not saying anything. Her pitch-black eyes gazed at Bufong. Her small face was ashen, which made her look somewhat pitiful. It seemed that they couldn't get the Qilin chef's heart back. Then, some things must be done quickly. When the others heard Bufong's words, they couldn't help but be bewildered. His figure drilled into it. Mangy dog, hold back. Let this realm lord do it. The dainty dogpaw faced City Lord Feng and patted him. Phew. Finally, he's going to take action. The great demon? In front of absolute power. I wonder if you, the great demon, can create a miracle? It's okay. Even if he bursts out, he's not that dog's opponent. Isn't he looking for that dog? Now that the dog is here, let Feng Guanzhong feel despair first. The Lord Go and the head of the Dit family were too lazy to chase after him. Bufong took a deep breath, his face a little unsightly. Boom! That familiar aura caused her expression to abruptly change. Seems like I have to cook a dish to suppress the curse. Bufong furrowed his brows. That mangy dog changed the topic again. However, they could only wait until the realm lord caught Feng Guanzhong. That year, his dish had no effect on the Netherworld woman's curse. Originally, he thought that the mangy dog's serious injury hadn't recovered yet. Who would have thought that the black dog's injury from the will of the Great Path would recover so fast? City Lord Feng didn't have any strength to retaliate as he was pressed on the ground by the Lord Go. Lu Yi's eyes focused. A moment later, the aura on his body changed. Looking at you, Bu Feng expressionlessly nodded. Lord Go said casually, "Boom, boom. You, what's wrong?" Bu Feng frowned, looking at Lord Go. Even if you haven't recovered, the Lord Go can still bully you. The number one monstrous genius, Lu Yi, the great demon, can casually challenge him? Little Ming Ming, you organize the competition. This realm lord will go after Feng Guanzhong. There are some things I need to ask him. That damn guy. A moment later, Lu Yi raised his hand to cover his chest. Mengqi's face was a little sad. The appearance of that silver heart frightened her. City Lord Shui's death. What does it have to do with Feng Guanzhong? However, you open her mouth, her pitch-black eyes looking at Bu Feng. Her eyes were resolute. Lord Go, long time no see. Mengqi stared at Lord Go, her voice a little resentful. In the distance, this is Realm Lord Dit shouted. Yeah, little Ming Ming is right. This method isn't bad. Boom. Unbelievable. City Lord Feng was actually sent flying? This is the Heaven Chief world. Why can't this Realm Lord be here? Lord Go's words made Realm Lord Dit unhappy. Bu Feng felt his mind shiver. Lord Go brought the Netherworld ship and slowly descended. Realm Lord Dit said, just when everyone thought that the dog was going to be cut down from the sky, its blood splashing everywhere, that dog actually stretched out a paw. Chapter 1059. Bu Feng retracted his finger from between Yu's brows. Instantly, the green cursed snake on Yu's body disappeared. However, the pressure it brought to Bu Feng was still there. Bu Feng could feel that his dish's suppression on Yu's curse was getting weaker and weaker. Actually, it wasn't hard to understand. His dish couldn't completely eliminate the curse, which gave the cursed snake time to breathe. Slowly, the cursed snake would become resistant to the dish, and naturally, the suppression of Bu Feng's dish on it would disappear. Bu Feng understood that the reason his dish could suppress the cursed snake was probably because of the god of cooking Set. The dishes cooked with the god of cooking Set might contain some divine energy, which would have a suppressive effect on the cursed snakes. Bu Feng rubbed his chin, gazing at Yu's pale but beautiful face. He seemed to be in a daze. Seems like I have to hurry. I have to get the last fragment of the god of cooking Set. Only then can I exchange for a new set. Perhaps then, I can suppress the cursed snake in Yu's body more effectively. Bu Feng thought to himself, System, is there any way to completely remove the curse in Yu's body? All of a sudden, Bu Feng thought of the system, so he couldn't help but ask. However, the system didn't answer him immediately. Instead, it kept silent for a while. Then, it gave him a serious answer. The host's current level isn't high enough. Bu Feng was speechless. This system wanted to stir up trouble. It seemed the origin of the curse in Yu's body wasn't small. His current level wasn't high enough. Taking a deep breath, Bu Feng found a place to sit cross-legged, closing his eyes to rest. He was preparing for the next match. City Lord Mengqi, who was wearing an immortal robe, floated to the arena. Because of the battle, the arena had been ruined. Now, it wasn't suitable for another match. Of course, it needed to be repaired. The judges also flew down from the judging panel and landed in front of City Lord Mengqi, respectfully nodding at her. Let's go together. City Lord Mengqi smiled warmly at the judges. The judges nodded excitedly. Then, the judges stood at different corners of the arena ruins, and jade talismans appeared in their hands. Crushing the jade talisman, a faint golden array formation immediately floated in front of them. He channeled his psyche energy into the formation. Instantly, an invisible ripple spread out. The arena that had been reduced to ruins was actually being restored at a speed visible to the naked eye. The rubble rolled back and piled up into its original shape. In less than a breath's time, the arena returned to its original state. In the distance, the referee, who had been severely injured by City Lord Feng, couldn't continue to host the competition. Mengqi acted as the referee for the match. This caused the eyes of Lu Yi, who was below the arena, to shine even brighter. His battle intent surged. Shui Yao and the others didn't know whether to laugh or cry. City Lord Mingqi is helping Lu Yi. She's going to be the referee, so Lu Yi will definitely do his best to win the match and leave a good impression on Mingqi. Everybody knows that the goddess in Lu Yi's heart is Mengqi. Shui Yao smiled, shaking her head. Then, her eyes fell on the great demon, who was sitting cross-legged in the distance. It was true that the great demon had created many miracles. However, facing Lu Yi, the monstrous genius of the Heaven Chief realm, as the monstrous genius who had the highest chance to break through to the Qilin Chef realm, even the great demon had to kneel before him. While you guys are resting, I will announce the theme of the next match. It will give you a good idea. City Lord Mengqi wore an immortal robe. Her face was peerlessly beautiful, and her body seemed to emit light. Everybody couldn't help but be dazzled. Many people in the audience were dumbstruck. The title of the #1 beauty of the Heaven Chief realm was indeed well-deserved. The theme of the next chef's challenge is dragon. The so-called dragon doesn't just refer to dragon meat. The competition authorities will provide many dragon ingredients, such as dragon meat, dragon bones, dragon organs, dragon eyes, dragon claws, dragon eggs, and so on. The two contestants will have to use a part of the dragon to cook a dish that will be able to convince all of us judges. Mengqi's gentle and pleasant voice lingered in the entire square. Everybody sucked in a breath of cold air. This was a big theme. Using a dragon as an ingredient, it was definitely not ordinary. Rumble. As soon as Mengqi's voice fell in the next instant, the arena, which had just been repaired, shook violently. The arena's ground instantly cracked. Rumbling sounds reverberated unceasingly. Then, an awe-inspiring cold iron cage slowly appeared. The cage sat in the center of the arena. Everybody was dumbstruck. This was because a huge spirit beast was lying in a deep sleep inside the dark blue cage. That spirit divine beast emitted a wave of terrifying pressure, which made everybody's breath stagnate. Is that a dragon? What a powerful aura and pressure. That savage beast is at least a 6-star beast emperor. That's right. That's a 6-star beast emperor, the Scarlet Flame Demon Dragon. The audience looked at the giant dragon sleeping soundly in the cage, and they couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. A 6-star beast emperor was an incomparably powerful existence. Could it be that this 6-star beast emperor would become an ingredient in this competition? Indeed, it was a big theme. Mengqi's slender and thin body stood in front of the cold iron cage. She clasped her hands, and her beautiful face showed a trace of seriousness. She raised her hand, gently waving. Instantly, the cold iron cage's door opened with a squeak. The audience held their breaths, feeling as though their hearts had slowed down by half a beat. Boom! The moment the cage opened, the Scarlet Flame Demon Dragon, who was sleeping soundly, opened its pitch-black eyes. Its terrifying aura was awakened instantly, as though it was about to stir up a storm, howling unceasingly. Boom! The Scarlet Flame Demon Dragon slightly opened its mouth, spitting out a beam of scarlet dragon breath. The dragon's eyes locked on City Lord Mengqi, who was standing outside the cage. In just a blink of an eye, the Scarlet Flame Demon Dragon moved. After a violent tremor, the cold iron cage's door was smashed open. The Scarlet Flame Demon Dragon opened its dragon mouth, revealing its sharp and ferocious fangs. With an angry roar, it pounced on Mengqi. A pungent wind blew, making City Lord Mengqi's immortal robe flutter. The entire arena seemed to be shaking. The Scarlet Flame Demon Dragon had reached its peak. The terrifying pressure of a 6-star beast emperor was displayed incisively, which made people's hearts tremble. However, City Lord Mengqi was still calm. Her beautiful face beamed with a smile. This smile made all the flowers lose their colors, and the surroundings became gloomy. The audience, who had been frightened by the dragon's might, felt the pressure on them disappear. In their eyes, only City Lord Mengqi remained. Evil beast, how dare you be so arrogant? City Lord Meng Qi shouted coldly. A moment later, a beam of pink light swept across the arena. A long, narrow kitchen knife fell into City Lord Meng Qi's hand. The knife looked like it was made of crystal, with many mysterious patterns carved on it. Facing the six-star Beast Emperor, City Lord Meng Qi was very calm. She swung the knife. 1 shadow, 2 shadows, 3 shadows, 4 shadows. City Lord Meng Qi, who was swinging the knife, had thousands of shadows. They seemed to be dancing. The scarlet flame demon dragon froze at its spot. In the next moment, numerous fine scars appeared on his body. Shortly, with a rumble, the scarlet flame demon dragon smashed on the ground. Its body was completely decomposed. Meng Qi's thousands of shadows disappeared. With a wave of her hand, a stand appeared on the arena. The dissected body parts of the scarlet flame demon dragon were placed on the stand. Obviously, these were the ingredients that could be chosen for the next round. It's City Lord Meng Qi's knife skill. The knife dance connects the sky. So beautiful. It's as if in the middle of a dance, the six-star Beast Emperor has been completely decomposed. Worthy of being the City Lord of a mortal city. Worthy of being a Qilin chef. The audience was very excited. To be able to see a Qilin chef, they were all very satisfied. Especially since it was the most beautiful Qilin chef, City Lord Meng Qi. The audience felt a burst of luck. City Lord Meng Qi took out a piece of white silk, wiping the crystal-like pink kitchen knife. Then, her eyes slightly curved, looking at the arena. Contestants, it's time to rest. Next, it's time for your match. As soon as her voice fell, the audience's eyes shifted, landing on the bodies of the great demon and Lu Yi, who were resting under the arena. Bu Fong and Lu Yi opened their eyes one after another, and there was light swirling in their eyes. At this moment, Gong Shuban was so excited that his entire body was trembling. He knew that he had no reason to be so excited, but he couldn't help it. After all, this could be said to be Bu Fong's last match. Once he won, Bu Fong would become this year's Heaven Chief Competitions champion. How could Gong Shuban not be excited? Although in Gong Shuban's eyes, it was something impossible. However, this kind of thing, just thinking about it, made him very excited. You leaned on the Netherworld ship, her face a little pale. The theme was a dragon? You looked at City Lord Meng Qi deeply. This theme was probably purposely done. Among the spirit beasts, which kind of spirit beast had the most essence energy? It was the dragon species. City Lord Meng Qi knew that Bu Fong's dish needed to suppress the curse in her body. So she specifically chose a dragon species spirit beast? She really was an understanding big sister. Bu Fong and Lu Yi didn't enter the arena in a flashy manner. They just slowly walked up the arena step by step. Their footsteps were very firm. Every step they took seemed to strengthen the faith in their hearts. Stepping on the arena, the two of them raised their heads, facing each other. Their gazes collided in the air. The audience was dead silent. They were all suppressed by an invisible pressure, so they didn't dare to make a sound. Lu Yi's eyes were sharp, filled with an invasiveness and endless pressure. Bu Fong's eyes were calm, but they were incomparably firm. This match, you will lose. Without the heart of cooking path, you and I aren't existences at the same level. Lu Yi looked at Bu Fong, calmly saying. Then Bu Fong's eyes shrank. Ba thump, ba thump. The sound of an invisible heartbeat could be heard. In the next instant, Bu Fong felt his entire body being shrouded in an invisible pressure. In front of him, Lu Yi's figure suddenly enlarged. He became incomparably tall. Facing Lu Yi, Bu Fong felt as if he was facing a whole world. The illusionary void shattered. The realm Lord Dit sped away. The long robe on his body fluttered, and his golden hair fluttered. Lord Go took elegant cat-like steps, twisting his dog, but with each step, he would quickly shorten the distance, following behind it. One man and one dog's speed was really fast. Not long after, they saw a distressed figure in the distance. That figure wasn't someone else. It was the city lord of the fifth layer, Feng Guanzhong. Feng Guanzhong's secret had been exposed, and at this moment, he was running away in a panic. Feng Guanzhong's face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with thick, murderous intent. Originally, he thought that after absorbing the energy of the Qilin chef's heart, his strength should be enough to deal with that mangy dog. However, that dog had swallowed the heavenly path, and its injury had actually recovered so quickly, which caught him off guard. His previous calculations had all failed. Hence, he had to run. He hated it. If he had enough time, he would have swallowed all the energy in the Qilin chef's heart. His strength would definitely break through. And at that time, even the Realm Lord wouldn't be able to deal with him. Why would he need to run away in such a distressed manner? Suddenly, the illusionary void constantly shattered. A pitch-black dog paw suddenly patted down, smashing the illusionary void in front of him. He smashed the void in front of him, and countless violent spatial turbulence surged in the void. A fat black dog unknowingly appeared in front of Feng Guanzhong, slowly taking cat-like steps. The dog's eyes were lazy and disdainful. Feng Guanzhong's body stiffened. "Oh, you crushed my little brother, and you still want to run? Feng Guanzhong, you don't put this Realm Lord in your eyes. Or do you have something to rely on? You dare to crush this Realm Lord's little brother?" Behind Feng Guanzhong, Realm Lord Dit stepped out, his bare feet in the illusionary void. He was still brooding over little Dit being crushed. His cold eyes looked straight at Feng Guanzhong. In the next instant, both of his hands grabbed his clothes, fiercely ripping them. With a swishing sound, his clothes exploded. Realm Lord Dit's eyes were like torches, his pressure shaking the sky. And the Qilin chef's heart. Please give this Realm Lord a good explanation. Otherwise, this Realm Lord doesn't mind beating you until you call me Daddy. Chapter 1060. When I grow up, I want to take City Lord Mengqi as my wife. At the age of 15, Lu Yi had once pointed to the heavens and made such a vow. At that time, Lu Yi had already begun to stand out. Among the younger generation of Heaven Chief, he had suppressed many Heaven Chief. Lu Yi's father was a third-grade Heaven Chief in the 5th Layer's City Lord Mansion. Hence, when Lu Yi was young, he had the honor to show off his cooking skills in front of many City Lords. At that time, when he first saw City Lord Mengqi, his heart was beating fiercely. He was completely attracted by City Lord Mengqi's beauty. Every frown and smile made him completely sink in. Hence, during that cooking performance, because he was attracted by City Lord Mengqi, he made a mistake. He was scolded by his father in front of many Heaven Chief, and he was even slapped. And at that time, the one who came forward to plead for him was City Lord Mengqi. At that moment, Lu Yi deeply remembered City Lord Mengqi in his heart, and he also made such a vow. Standing on the stage, Lu Yi's eyes erupted with boundless brilliance. He looked at Bu Feng condescendingly. He was very grateful to Bu Feng for giving him such a chance to show off in front of City Lord Mengqi. However, his heart was grateful, but it did not mean that he would go easy on her. He would show his strongest cooking skills, letting City Lord Mengqi understand that the brat of that year had grown up. He would work hard to move forward toward the vow he made, and the great demon could only be his stepping stone. Thump! Thump! That was the sound of Lu Yi's heartbeat. It was like the evening drum and morning bell, making everyone's breath stagnate. This was the heart of Cooking Path. This was the power of the heart of Cooking Path. Bu Feng's eyes shrank. Lu Yi could be said to be the strongest Heaven Chief he had ever met. Of course, Realm Lord Dit and the others did not count. He was the strongest among the Immortal Chef. The latter had reached the peak of Immortal Chef. As long as he wanted to make a breakthrough, he could instantly step into the Tier 2 Heaven Chief realm. Pressure. Bu Feng also felt a wave of pressure. This was a pressure that exerted on one's soul. Bu Feng finally understood why Gongshu Ban didn't even have the courage to swing his knife when he was fighting against the black-cloaked man. The suppression of the heart of Cooking Path on chefs was too great. Bu Feng felt as if his arms were filled with lead. The Lu Yi in front of him was like a giant looking down from above. He looked at Lu Yi expressionlessly. The atmosphere in the surroundings was extremely stagnant. Lu Yi the monstrous genius from the 5th floor of Heaven Chief Realm. Gathering all kinds of radiance, he was known as the genius with the highest chance of becoming a Chilean chef. At the age of 20, he had condensed the heart of cooking path, and today he had advanced it to a higher level. Possessing a terrifying immortal tongue, as well as an even more enviable Chilean touch. The so-called Chilean touch was similar to the immortal tongue. It was an innate condition that could be compared to the touch of a Chilean chef. The touch of the ingredients, the touch of the heat. This man was simply born to cook. He was a true genius. No one thought highly of the great demon. It wasn't that they didn't think highly of him, but they didn't dare to. They didn't dare to imagine what kind of monstrous genius could defeat an existence like Lu Yi. Lu Yi was almost perfect. He was a Chilean chef candidate. Even the monstrous genius from the Feng family, the biggest aristocratic family in the 5th floor of Heaven Chief Realm, could only lower his noble head in front of Lu Yi. Facing such a near-perfect monstrous genius, what did the great demon use to defeat him? The heart of cooking path? The great demon didn't have it. Immortal tongue? The great demon didn't have it either. Chilean touch? The great demon didn't have it either. How could the 3-0 great demon fight against the proud son of heaven, Lu Yi? This was also the reason why everyone didn't think highly of Bufang. This was also the reason why, when Bufang chose to challenge Lu Yi, everyone was in an uproar. Everyone felt that Bufang had overestimated himself. The expressionless Bufang looked like a small boat in the middle of a vast ocean. Facing Lu Yi, this vast ocean, it seemed like it could be destroyed at any time. Suddenly, Bufang's eyes slightly moved. He raised his hand and punched himself in the chest. Boom! That muffled sound was so obvious in the entire square. In the next instant, Bufang exhaled deeply, sticking out his tongue, licking his dry lips. My chest feels a little stuffy, but it feels much better now. Bufang looked at Lu Yi, his eyes regaining their calmness. The vermilion robe on his body slightly shook, and Bufang put his hands in his pockets, walking toward the center of the arena. He directly passed by Lu Yi's side. The two of them brushed past each other. Lu Yi's eyes slightly narrowed. The great demon was a little interesting, but it was useless. In front of Meng Qi, Lu Yi wanted to crush everything. Even if Bufang could break free from the pressure of his heart of cooking path, what was the use? In terms of real cooking skills, Lu Yi, could crush the great demon. The two of them turned around, coming in front of the stove that had been prepared on the arena. Of course, Lu Yi would not use the stove on the arena. His mind flickered, and a glass stove smashed on the arena. A wave of violent fluctuation spread out. Bufang stood at his spot, his face expressionless. All right, up ahead is the 6-star Beast Emperor, the Scarlet Flame Demon Dragon's decomposing ingredient. This time, the theme is to use this ingredient to cook a dish. The winner will be decided by the judges. The City Lord's immortal robe fluttered as she stood in the middle of the arena. Looking at Bufang and Lu Yi, she said with a smile. Bufang and Lu Yi nodded. Lu Yi's eyes were fiery as he stared at City Lord Meng Qi. Now, you have half a cup of tea's time to choose your ingredients. After that, the competition will officially begin, Meng Qi said. As soon as her voice fell, Lu Yi and Bufang stepped out. Suddenly, Lu Yi's steps paused. The great demon, right? I heard that up until now. Your competition has always been a chef challenge. This time, you still want a chef's challenge? Lu Yi indifferently looked at Bufang as he asked. Give up on the chef challenge. Otherwise, you'll be giving me a kitchen knife for nothing. Bufang's steps paused. His face was expressionless as he turned his head, looking at Lu Yi. That gaze made Lu Yi frown. My kitchen knife? You can't lift it. There's no need to change the chef's challenge. Bufang's words were concise and comprehensive. After saying that, he walked toward the ingredients in the distance. Lu Yi narrowed his eyes at Bufang, the corners of his mouth rising. Since that was the case, then let's have a chef's challenge. I, Lu Yi, will crush everything. In the distance, on the ingredients shelf, the 6-star Beast Emperor was cut into ingredients and placed on a shelf. Thick essence energy shot up to the sky. Bufong put his hands in his pockets, coming in front of the ingredients shelf. Previously, when he was resting and recovering his true energy and mental force, Bufong was thinking about what dish he wanted to cook this time. Dragon was the theme that Mengqi had given. It was a dish full of essence energy. Without a doubt, this was what Mengqi had done on purpose. She wanted the dish she cooked to help you suppress the curse. However, with dragon ingredients, what should he cook? Sweet and sour dragon ribs? No, only the Lord Go likes to eat this. You don't. Moreover, you have eaten this dish before. To suppress the curse, the effect might not be obvious. Bufong was deep in thought. He slowly walked in front of the shelf. Louis came. He didn't look at Bufong. Apparently, he had entered the state of cooking. In his eyes, there were only ingredients left. Dragon bones, dragon meat, dragon head, dragon eyes, dragon claws. Each part had been broken down by Mengqi and placed on the shelf for Bufong and Lu Yi to choose. Lu Yi seemed to have thought about what dish he wanted to cook. He came in front of the dragon meat. On the dragon meat shelf, the dragon meat was also divided into dragon belly meat, dragon back meat, dragon rib meat, and so on. Regarding these meat, he naturally had to choose. This time, Lu Yi reached out his hand. Lu Yi's hand was very white, and his fingers were very slender. The shape of his hand was very perfect. He reached out his hand and touched the dragon meat. Instantly, an invisible wave spread out. In the audience had long sucked in a breath of cold air. This is the Qilin touch. It's like a Qilin chef choosing ingredients. With the spiritual touch, the ingredients he picks are definitely the best. The number one monstrous talent is blessed by the heavens. The audience sighed. As the referee, Mengqi's eyes slightly brightened. A talent like the Qilin touch could actually appear. The immortal tongue and the Qilin touch gathered on one person. This person was indeed blessed by the heavens. For example, Mengqi had a top-notch immortal tongue, so she was extremely sensitive to the taste of ingredients. Adding her talent, she was able to step into the Qilin chef realm. Lu Yi's future should be very bright. However, Mengqi's eyes turned, her gaze falling on Bufong, who was in deep thought. Perhaps there was a miracle? Thinking about the time when Bufong touched her shoulder, the image of the flaming vermilion bird appeared in her mind. The scene of the blue bird and the vermilion bird flying together made her heart palpitate. Every time she thought about it, her face couldn't help but blush. It's this piece of dragon meat, dragon rib meat, a perfect piece of meat. A kitchen knife appeared in Lu Yi's hand. Light flashed on the kitchen knife. Obviously, as a heaven chief at his level, his kitchen knife was naturally not an ordinary immortal tool. Cutting off this part of the dragon meat, Lu Yi turned around and walked toward the stove in the distance. Returning to the stove, he looked at Bufong. Bufong was still hesitating and choosing, as though he was hesitating about which part of the ingredient to choose. In terms of choosing ingredients, Lu Yi was incomparably confident. Suddenly, the confident smile on Lu Yi's face froze. In his eyes, Bufong began to choose ingredients. However, Bufong didn't choose just one ingredient. Bufong first chose a piece of dragon back meat, then continued to move forward. Dragon tongue, dragon heart, dragon skin, dragon belly. These parts, Bufong took ingredients. This scene made everyone burst into an uproar. What dish is the great demon going to cook? Choosing so many ingredients? So many different parts. How can he mix them into a dish? This isn't the previous topic. When Dongfang Hua cooked a dish, he used all the parts of chicken. However, because it was too mixed, the dish was mediocre. Does the great demon want to learn from Dongfang Hua? He's seeking his own death. His talent has run out. The audience was in an uproar. Bufong's choice shocked everyone. Forget about the dragon meat, dragon tongue, dragon heart, dragon belly, and dragon skin. What the heck was that? So many parts? Did he want to cook a hodgepodge? And Bufong naturally didn't care about the others. Bufong had already decided what dish he wanted to cook. After taking the ingredients, Bufong returned to the stove, placing the ingredients on it one by one. Then, he calmly began to process them. Mengqi looked at Bufang in surprise. She didn't think that Bufang would think for so long and choose so many ingredients. She furrowed her beautiful brows. Dragon meat wasn't like the other spirit beasts. It was really hard to cook. It was better to be more skilled. However, since Bufang had made his choice, she could only respect his will. Since you've chosen your dishes, then let's start the official competition, Mengqi said. As soon as her voice faded, Lu, Yi, and Bufang entered their respective states. Buzzed the dragon bone kitchen knife, soared into the sky, and the dragon roar reverberated unceasingly. On Lu Yi's body, the sound of his heartbeat once again burst forth. A terrifying pressure enveloped him, as though he couldn't even hold a kitchen knife. Everybody took in a breath of cold air. The pressure from the heart of cooking path. In this way, the great demon was born to be at a disadvantage. In a cooking competition that was evenly matched, it would be fatal. The great demon seemed unable to turn the tables, unless the great demon could also condense the heart of cooking path. But was it possible? Condensing the heart of cooking path in a cooking competition was simply a fantasy. Below the stage, Gong Shu Ban clenched his fists. He understood the pressure Bufang was facing now. He had experienced it before. The pressure from the black-cloaked man made him unable to hold the knife. That was the pressure from the heart of cooking path. And now, would Owner Bu follow in his footsteps? The audience was also paying attention. The huge light screen reflected Bufang's emotionless face. Chapter 1061. Qilin Chef's Heart. Hearing Realm Lord Dit ask about the Qilin Chef's heart, City Lord Feng's face changed. What are you talking about? I don't understand you, City Lord Feng said. However, Realm Lord Dit had seen the change in City Lord Feng's face. His naked body bloomed with radiance. He placed his hands on his waist, snorting coldly. Pretend. Keep pretending. Lord Go yawned lazily. He raised his paw, and a silver heart emerged on his exquisite paw. The silver heart was beating unceasingly, and terrifying energy rolled out. It was the Qilin Chef's heart, which contained the essence and intent of a Qilin Chef's life. This heart used to belong to the City Lord of the first layer of the Heaven Chief Realm. However, that City Lord was killed in the space of the Heaven Tree. Realm Lord Dit had always thought that City Lord Shui was killed because of the mutated Heaven Tree. However, when he saw this heart, he finally understood. The culprit who killed City Lord Shui was City Lord Feng in front of him. Qilin Chef's heart. It's mine. The moment City Lord Feng saw the silver Qilin Chef's heart hovering on Lord Go's paw, his eyes shrank. Terrifying true energy burst out from his body. A moment later, his figure tore the void, dashing toward Lord Go. Give me the heart. City Lord Feng's eyes showed his endless desire. Lord Go indifferently glanced at City Lord Feng, who was dashing toward him. Then his exquisite paw casually rose. Boom! The dog paw slapped, directly enlarging. It seemed to become a claw that could suppress the entire sky, unceasingly descending. Even space itself began to crumble under this claw, and cracks began to appear everywhere. City Lord Feng roared. His body seemed to be burning. A white flame rose above his palm, burning fiercely in just a blink of an eye. It swept out, turning into a white, flaming wolf. The wolf roared, dashing toward Lord Go's paw. They collided. The flames burst forth and spread in all directions. The white immortal fire ash wolf was directly smashed into pieces by the Lord Go's claw. City Lord Feng raised both of his arms, wanting to resist. There was a cracking sound. Under the Lord Go's claw, the bones in City Lord Feng's hand shattered. Previously, when they were in the plaza, they did not dare to unleash their full strength without restraint. Now that they were in the void, the Lord Go no longer held back. The power of the exquisite dog paw had also increased by a level. Pucci! City Lord Feng's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. How did this dog become stronger and stronger? Boom boom! City Lord Feng was sent flying backward. Even the void was smashed, leaving many holes. The bones in his arms were shattered by the claw, and they almost fell to the ground. Realm Lord Dit teleported and appeared in front of City Lord Feng. He reached out his hand and grabbed City Lord Feng's head. Then he fiercely swung it. Boom, boom, boom. Every time it moved, the void would tremble unceasingly from the bombardment. Crush this world, Lord's little brother. Boom. You dare to attack little Ming Ming and little Boo Boo. Boom. Boom. The most important thing is you dare to kill a Qilin chef. Boom. After each sentence, Realm Lord Dit's power increased. City Lord Feng couldn't resist at all. He was swung up in the void. He flung it away and smashed it into the distance. City Lord Feng lay in the void. Blood oozed from his nose and mouth. All the bones in his body were broken. Realm Lord Dit had smashed them. All of a sudden, City Lord Feng, who was lying in the distance, smiled. He staggered and crawled up from the ground. City Lord Feng lifted his head. A trickle of blood slowly trickled down his forehead, streaking across his face. His eyes were sinister as he gazed at Realm Lord Dit and the Lord Go in the distance. In the next moment, he let out another hearty laugh. You forced me to do this, City Lord Feng laughed. His voice was cold and resolute. You're a Realm Lord. Except for your power and cooking skills, what else are you good for? I don't like you. That's why I want to increase my cultivation base. I want to replace you. City Lord Feng wiped the trickle of blood from the corner of his mouth, speaking coldly. I ate a Qilin chef's heart, drank a Qilin chef's blood. All because of you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Realm Lord Dit's nostrils flared. He placed his hands on his waist, and his lower body bloomed with holy light. You King blame me? You think you're right when you do bad things? Realm Lord Dit was enraged. How many years did the Heaven Chief Realm have to wait for a Qilin chef? However, this guy in front of him had killed that Qilin chef. He ate his heart and drank his blood. He's a beast. Sizzle. A pitch-black energy slowly rose from City Lord Feng's body. That black energy surged unceasingly. In the distance, Lord Go's sleepy face was startled. Lord Go's face froze, gazing at City Lord Feng. This aura, nether energy. You forced me to do this. City Lord Feng smiled miserably. You stupid Realm Lord, and you mangy dog. You have to die. The black energy on City Lord Feng's body became denser and denser. Slowly, his skin turned pitch black. His eyes slowly turned scarlet red, and his hair turned white. Realm Lord Dit sucked in a breath of cold air. Transform. Do you think I'm afraid of you if I transform? Realm Lord Dit also felt solemn. He felt a sense of danger from City Lord Feng's body. Without a doubt, that black nether energy was strange. A moment later, a frying pan appeared in Realm Lord Dit's hand. Swinging the frying pan, Realm Lord Dit gazed at City Lord Feng in the distance. With a frying pan in my hand, I have the world. Since you could transform, I have a frying pan. Realm Lord Dit's voice was cold. In the distance, Lord Go's claw held the silver Qilin chef's heart. He exhaled. City Lord Feng had nether energy. Moreover, this nether energy made him feel strange. It didn't come from Earth Prison. It came from Nether Prison, the most mysterious nether prison in the netherworld. Things had become a little strange. Roar. A moment later, City Lord Feng took the initiative. His figure disappeared in a flash. When he reappeared, he was in front of Realm Lord Dit. Realm Lord Dit's eyes shrank. He raised the frying pan, and the void twisted and collapsed under this strike. However, City Lord Feng was too fast. His frying pan hadn't landed yet. City Lord Feng's fist hit his belly. Realm Lord Dit was bewildered. A moment later, his face twisted. That fist was filled with pitch-black nether energy. A sizzling, burning sensation arose. The fist hit Realm Lord Dit's belly, spinning. A moment later, Realm Lord Dit was blown away by this punch. His figure spun rapidly in the void. Eventually, he sat down in the void. Clutching his belly, he retched. After City Lord Feng's attack succeeded, he didn't stop. The tip of his foot tapped the void, and his figure tore through the void, approaching Lord Dog. It was still a punch with black nether energy. Lord Go's face was solemn as he raised his exquisite dog paw. The nether energy from Earth Prison burst out, winding around the dog paw. It blasted towards that punch. Boom! The fist and the paw collided. Indeed, it's nether energy from Nether Prison. What's your relationship with the Nether Prison people? Lord Go's eyes shrank. A moment later, he shouted. Then, in City Lord Fang's scarlet eyes, Lord Go's appearance suddenly changed. Lord Go's body suddenly enlarged, turning into a giant wolf. His fangs were exposed, and his eyes were black. With a bark, the void trembled and exploded. City Lord Fang's eyes shrank. After the transformed Lord Go's paw hit him, his entire arm exploded, turning into nothingness, disappearing into the void. City Lord Fang howled miserably. He was blown away instantly. The void was pierced again and again. Boom, 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 boom. However, City Lord Fang, who had been blown away several thousand miles, had only one arm left. He steadied his body, coldly glancing at Lord Go. Then he turned around and left. In his giant dog form, Lord Go's eyes were filled with brutal, murderous intent. Lord Go slightly lowered his head, but he found that the silver Qilin chef's heart had disappeared. Under the suppression of the heart of cooking path, Bufong had a hard time wielding his knife. Every time he raised his knife, he felt a big hand pressing him. He couldn't even lift his knife. Without a doubt, Lu Yi's heart of cooking path was much stronger than that black-cloaked man's. Bufong furrowed his brows. He knew he couldn't continue like this. If he continued like this, he wouldn't be able to finish this dish. He couldn't even process the ingredients. The heart of cooking path was really shameless. It was like a cheat. Outside the arena, in the audience stand, the void suddenly tore, and two figures walked out of it one after another. One was meticulous, while the other was gorgeously dressed, holding his thumb and middle finger. Seems like I'm late. Zolord stomped his feet in annoyance, holding his thumb and middle finger. It's all because of you, you bastard. Who told you to dawdle? City Lord Lu, who was wearing a white robe, glanced at Zolord's, speechless. You still have the face to talk. Zolord's was speechless. His thumb and middle finger waved in the air. Eventually, he stomped his feet, letting out a loud humph. Then, the two of them found a place to sit down in the audience stand, starting to watch the competition in the arena. Mengqi seemed to notice the arrival of Zolord's and City Lord Lu. Instantly, she nodded at the two of them, smiling. City Lord Lu smiled back at her. Mengqi, you little slut. Why are you nodding? You bastard. Zolord's pinched his thumb and middle finger, patting City Lord Lu's arm. Turning his head, he let out another humph. Lu indifferently glanced at Bufong. His heart was beating hard. The heart of cooking path emitted energy, which had strengthened his condition a lot. Each step was almost perfect. He lifted his head, looking at Bufong in the distance. He knew that under the influence of the heart of cooking path, ordinary chefs couldn't cook. Of course, Bufong couldn't do it either. Even if it was the great demon, at this moment, he should be very confused and distressed. Then let me see how you can break out of this situation. To resist the heart of cooking path, only the heart of cooking path could resist. Could it be that the great demon wanted to condense the heart of cooking path at this moment? The corners of Lu Yi's mouth rose, smiling faintly. Impossible. It was too difficult. In the next instant, the kitchen knife in Lu Yi's hand spun. Tens of thousands of light twirled. Suddenly, tens of thousands of arms appeared behind him, each holding a kitchen knife. It's Lu Yi's knife skill. The thousand-hand laughing Buddha. What a terrifying knife skill. I can feel the trembling of my skin from so far away. The fastest knife skill in the Heaven Chief competition. No other. When the audience saw Lu Yi's knife skill, they instantly sucked in a breath of cold air and exclaimed. Boom! All of a sudden, a loud sound rang out, attracting everyone's attention. Everyone's eyes shifted from Lu Yi's knife skill. They looked at Bufong's position. There, Bufong threw the dragon bone kitchen knife on the stove. His hands drooped as he closed his eyes and exhaled. Indeed, the great demon was affected. He couldn't cook anymore. Everyone's heart shuddered. You leaned on the Netherworld ship, her black eyes gazing at Bufong. Gong Shuban clenched his fists. "Owner Bu, come on." Cece hugged Gong Shuban's thigh, her big eyes filled with worry for Bufong. Mengqi's eyes were filled with interest as she watched. How could the great demon break the situation? Buzz Bufong's mind flickered. Instantly, his thoughts changed. The scene in front of him instantly disappeared. What was left was only darkness. Then, in the darkness, a dot of light emerged. That light constantly changed, gradually becoming brighter. In the next instant, scenes flashed in front of Bufong's eyes. It was so vague, but so clear. Heaven Chief Restaurant, Tao Dai Restaurant, Cloud Mist Restaurant, Fong Fong's little store. Scenes flowed like flowing water in front of Bufong's eyes. In Fong Fong's little store, when Bufong cooked egg fried rice for the first time, and when he opened the restaurant for the first time, when Xiao Xiaolong ate the egg fried rice with a knowing smile. In the Cloud Mist Restaurant, when a human-grade Buddha jumps over the wall soup appeared, everyone had a satisfied smile after eating it. In the Tao Tai Restaurant, when the Tao Tai meat was cooked, the aroma soared to the sky, and everyone ate with a joyful attitude. In the Heaven Chief Restaurant, when everyone sat around the table and ate the hot pot, these scenes kept moving, vague and clear in Bufong's heart. Finally, everything stopped at the time when Bufong had just become a chef. He practiced his cooking skills day and night. That joy and happiness came from the bottom of his heart. At that time, he was still on Earth. But no matter where he was, he always had a passionate heart for cooking. What was the heart of cooking path? In Bufong's understanding, it was a heart that was dedicated to cooking. It was a heart that loved cooking deeply, and he had poured all of his efforts on the road of cooking. Even without the system, Bufong would try his best to improve himself so that he could step on the road to becoming the god of cooking. Perhaps this was what the system wanted Bufong to understand. The scenes in his head gradually became clear. Eventually, they moved unceasingly, turning into a flow of heat, pouring into Bufong's heart. Ba thump, everything was so quiet. Not a sound could be heard. The faint sound of a heartbeat suddenly rang out. All the blood in his body seemed to boil with the sound of his heartbeat. Condensed the heart of cooking path, Bufong slowly opened his eyes. The corners of his mouth twitched. He had been mistaken about one fact. He didn't need to condense the so-called heart of cooking path, because he always had it. Bufong raised his hand, clutching his chest. He exhaled a breath. The heartbeat was like a morning bell, ringing in the entire Heaven Tree Square. A moment later, everyone was shocked. On the opposite side, Lu Yi's eyes shrank. He raised his head in disbelief, looking at Bufong. Chapter 1062. Lu Yi lifted his head in shock, looking at Bufong in disbelief. The phantom of 1,000 hands behind him slowly disappeared. Because he had the heart of cooking path, Lu Yi could clearly feel the power that suddenly emerged from Bufong's body. It was not a sudden condensation, but a frightening feeling that seemed to have been asleep for a long time and had suddenly awakened. It was as if an existence that had been frozen in an iceberg had suddenly torn apart the iceberg with its bare hands, and the shock it gave off was explosive. A spark of fire, rising with the wind. In Lu Yi's perception, the aura on Bufong's body slowly became sharp, like a long spear, piercing through the seal of his heart of cooking path. Thump! Thump! The sound of the heartbeat was very soft at first, but as time passed, it became as shocking as the evening drum and morning bell. Everyone could feel that their own hearts were beating along with it. The surrounding onlookers all had their mouths wide open. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The feeling of their heartbeat involuntarily made everyone's scalp go numb. This feeling, why did the great demon change? He seems to have become bigger. My heart is beating uncontrollably. What's going on? The audience's faces were filled with fear. Soon, they seemed to think of something. They were all incomparably shocked, staring at Bufong on the arena, sucking in a breath of cold air. There was only one explanation for this feeling. That was, the great demon on the arena had condensed the heart of cooking path. He had condensed the heart of cooking path just like that. Could he really condense the heart of cooking path during the competition? Everyone was a little disheveled. They felt that the so-called common sense on Bufong had been mercilessly torn apart. The existence of the great demon was to break the rules. Gong Shuban tightly clenched his fists. When the invisible pressure emerged from Bufong's body, his eyes shrank. Then he suddenly waved his fist in the air, letting out a low roar. Cece was startled by his sudden movement, retreating a few steps in disgust. The black-robed man's body, which was wrapped in the black robe, swayed. Then he seemed to hear the sound of someone inhaling deeply. There was also a barely audible chuckle. In the arena, City Lord Mengqi stared at Bufong with burning eyes. She did not expect Bufong to solve the problem in this way. He chose the most barbaric way to tear apart Lu Yi's encirclement. But this was the most effective method. Moreover, Mengqi could feel that Bufong's heart of cooking path was somewhat different. So powerful. His heart of cooking path is so powerful. Lu Yi was incomparably shocked, and his pupils constantly contracted. He could feel that Bufong's heart of cooking path was constantly compressing his heart of cooking path. The heart of cooking path, which had just been born, already had this kind of power. This, the great demon, was indeed a monster. No wonder he was able to create miracles and challenge me. Lu Yi's eyes narrowed slightly. In the next moment, the corners of his mouth suddenly widened, revealing an excited smile. Now it's interesting, but in front of City Lord Mengqi, I won't lose. I can't lose either. Boom! Lu Yi roared, the chef robe on his body fluttering. In the next instant, the kitchen knife in his hand spun, instantly turning into thousands of light rays. Behind him, arms emerged one after another. Knife skill, thousand hands laughing Buddha. The ingredients on the chopping board seemed to be flying under the knife skill. The knife continued to spin in the air. Every slash of the knife landed on the ingredients silently, causing slight changes to appear on the surface of the ingredients. Behind Lu Yi, a Buddha emerged. That Buddha flashed with golden light, with a gentle smile on his face. He had a big belly, a smiling Buddha face, and his fingers were pinched. The pressure of a knife skill. The entire audience was in an uproar. Lu Yi was so domineering. Did he intend to use his knife skill to completely defeat Bufong? To make Bufong unable to finish his cooking? However, the great demon's knife skill was also extraordinary. Bufong opened his eyes, which were as calm as an ancient well. Awakening his heart of cooking path, which had been sleeping for a long time, Bufong felt that his mind was active. In his spirit's sea, his mental force was like waves, rolling. The three-tool spirits were dazzling. It seemed that under the support of the heart of cooking path, they had changed a lot. His mind flickered. The dragon bone kitchen knife that Bufong had thrown on the stove suddenly whistled, flying toward Bufong. It fell into Bufong's hand. The kitchen knife spun, constantly twirling in Bufong's hand. He indifferently glanced at Lu Yi in the distance. Looking at the smiling Buddha holding a flower, the corners of Bufong's mouth slightly rose. His hand patted, and many ingredients on the stove soared into the sky. Dragon meat, dragon heart, dragon belly, dragon skin, and other ingredients flew in the air, like a fairy scattering flowers, mesmerizing the eyes. Bufong held the dragon bone kitchen knife, indifferently glancing at Lu Yi. Then he brandished the kitchen knife, slashing. Behind Bufong, a huge phantom emerged. That phantom looked like Bufong, but it was incomparably hazy. Immortal energy revolved around it, and the knife light was like a dream. Facing Lu Yi's knife power, Bufong was also not afraid, displaying his knife power to resist. The difference was, Lu Yi's knife skill was known for its fast speed. With one knife, thousands of knife lights flashed. And Bufong's knife skill only had one knife. Because this knife skill only had one knife. One knife. Cutting immortal. Boom. The knife power of the two collided. Shortly, waves of air surged, rushing toward each other. All the onlookers sucked in a breath of cold air. What a strong knife power. Facing this knife power, I feel like I can't even hold the kitchen knife. This is a real confrontation between monsters. The great demon is so strong. The audience felt their hearts tremble. Under the arena, the Heaven Chief was even more restless. Shui Yao, Meng Kuan, and Xiao Buke, who had been paying attention to Bufang, felt as though their blood was about to freeze. Swish, under one knife, all the ingredients had been processed. The thousand hands laughing Buddha was instantly chopped into pieces. Turning into specks of light, they scattered. Lu Yi's kitchen knife shook, and 1,000 hands behind his back disappeared. In front of his forehead, a strand of hair fell. Swish, his ingredients were also processed, falling one after another. In the contest of knife skills, he actually fell into a disadvantage. Lu Yi's heart suddenly felt a little stifled. He turned his head to look at City Lord Mengqi in the distance. This glance caused his pupils to constrict, because the focus of City Lord Mengqi's attention was actually not on him. City Lord Mengqi was looking at Bufang. How could it be like this? Lu Yi's eyes narrowed. Clenching his fists, he glared at Bufang in the distance. In the next instant, the kitchen knife rolled, rolling up all the ingredients on the chopping board and sweeping them into the pot. Boom! An orange-red flame suddenly swept out from his body. The orange-red flame surged, turning into a pillar of fire that shot up to the sky. With Lu Yi's body as the center, a terrifying and scorching temperature spread out in all directions. Immortal Flame List. 45th place. Scarlet Rainbow Immortal Flame. The flame ranked 45th in the Immortal Flame list. The power of this flame could absolutely suppress everyone. At least, among the Immortal Chef rankings, it could be considered as the top. Lu Yi could actually control this kind of flame. No wonder he was the monster of the 5th layer. The resources he obtained were indeed not something ordinary people could compare to. In the contest of immortal flames, the great demon should be crushed. However, when Bufang opened his mouth and spat out a ball of golden flame, everyone was dumbfounded. That flame, the golden flame, sprang out, turning into a golden flame lotus around Bufang's body. The flame lotus slowly rotated. Pieces of golden flame petals slowly bloomed, of course. The power of the flame lotus was still a little weaker than the flame beam on Lu Yi's body. After all, immortal flames ranked lower. But Mengqi's eyes lit up. Her fair and beautiful face seemed to reflect the golden flame. In her eyes, Bufang's vermilion robe suddenly turned fiery red. The flame wings on his back spread out, and fiery feathers fluttered. In Mengqi's ears, there seemed to be a clear and melodious bird cry. The sound of the bird cry rushed to the sky. In the next instant, the power of the golden flame lotus on Bufang's body suddenly soared. Bufang was slightly stunned. Mengqi's eyes also brightened. A top-grade immortal tool, level immortal robe, could actually increase the power of immortal flames. Then, in front of everyone's shocked eyes, Bufang's flame, which was originally suppressed, suddenly soared, unexpectedly competing with Lu Yi's immortal flame. How could it be? That's the Golden Lotus Demonic Flame, ranked 50th. How could it compare to Lu Yi's Scarlet Rainbow Immortal Flame? The great demon's body is always surrounded by miracles. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's so satisfying. The audience was extremely shocked. But after the shock, they were excited. The great demon's eruption made them exclaim in satisfaction. This kind of competition made their blood boil. Who would win? Who would be stronger? They didn't know, and they couldn't wait to see the competition continue. Lu Yi gritted his teeth. Even the immortal flame couldn't suppress the great demon. If that was the case, then let the dish do the talking. Lu Yi was angry. In the next instant, the kitchen knife in his hand swept, and he began to cook the dish in his hand. After he cut the ingredients, he put them into the pot, covered the pot, and began to cook. His mental force gushed out, wrapping around the black wok, and he began to sense the changes in the dish and the wok. He reached out his hand. His jade-like, sparkling finger gently touched the wok. Chill and touch. The audience was in an uproar. Buzz, a formless wave, spread out like a tidal wave. Bufong also began to enter cooking mode. The immortal flame entered the black turtle constellation wok, causing the heavenly Alps spirit's spring water to boil. Then he poured the processed dragon meat and dragon offal into the wok, starting to boil. During the boiling process, Bufong added many sauces and seasonings, starting to braise. He added half a spoonful of the strengthened abyssal chili sauce, Crystal's source purple essence, and Acheron's helplessness wine. Instantly, the essence energy in the wok soared. The color turned reddish-brown, and the meat in the wok began to boil. Bufong's palm pressed on the black turtle constellation wok. Instantly, the immortal flame's intensity increased, and he began to cook. Rumble, after an unknown amount of time, the ingredients in the wok began to boil, and the aroma of the meat permeated the air. However, what was more intense was the smell of the marinade. Bufong's mental force was locked on the changes in the ingredients in the wok. After waiting for the meat to become soft and tender, Bufong turned the explosive flame to a low flame, simmering it for a while. Stop the fire. He fished out the dragon meat and dragon offal from the wok. The dragon offal was already cut, and it was placed aside. Under Bufong's control, the dragon meat was quickly dried. He took out the dragon meat, and the dragon bone kitchen knife spun, cutting the dragon meat into thin slices, which were as thin as paper. He took out a spirit vegetable, which was called heavenly fragrant celery. He cut the heavenly fragrant celery into pieces, then stir-fried it with some peanuts and black sesame seeds. After stir-frying it, a thick fragrance wafted out, and he poured it into a small bowl. Rumble. At this moment, the dish was almost finished. In the sky, thick black clouds rolled over. The black clouds drifted over from both sides, and it was oppressive and oppressive. He was completely focused, meticulously cooking the dish. The flames soared to the sky, and the stir-frying continued. The rich fragrance didn't disperse, and it filled people's appetites. His dish was also almost finished. Above the two of them, black clouds gathered. Rumbling sounds echoed. Thunder exploded, tearing the void. Bufong's hands were wrapped in a layer of true energy, which was like a thin glove. His hands were constantly changing. He placed the ingredients into the blue and white porcelain plate that he had prepared beforehand. The meat was piled up one by one, starting from the dragon offal, the dragon heart, the dragon belly, and the dragon skin were piled up layer by layer, like a flower bud that was about to bloom. Finally, Bufong wrapped a thin layer of beef, as thin as paper, sprinkling it with heavenly fragrant celery and cooked peanuts. Then, he poured the dried marinade over it. Swish, the maroon marinade flowed down the center, as if it was poured on the seed, awakening it. Boom! In a blink of an eye, golden light shot up to the sky. Bufong took a step back, gently exhaling. The dragon bone kitchen knife in his hand spun. His eyes were like torches. Immortal dragon lung slice. Done. In the distance, He poured a ladle of boiling oil over the dish. The sizzling sound rang out unceasingly, and the heat waves shot up to the sky. The dish seemed to come to life, shining with a dazzling brilliance. With a thud, the ladle was thrown into the wok. He raised his head, looking straight at Bufong, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. Wine pool and meat forest. Done. Chapter 1063. Immortal Dragon Husband and Wife Lung Slice? Debauchery? Bufong and Lu Yi's dishes were completed at almost the same time, and the names of the two dishes resounded throughout the entire arena. Bufong's dish was dazzling and dazzling. It looked very stunning. However, the fragrance wasn't as rich as he had imagined. As for Lu Yi's dishes, their fragrance wafted for 10 miles, and their brilliance was even more dazzling. Just by smelling that fragrance, people couldn't help but drool. If it was just a comparison of fragrance, there was no doubt that Lu Yi would win. This was also what everyone felt strange and confused about. The aroma of the great Demon King's previous dishes was very strong. Why did this dish have a different flavor? Could it be that there was something different inside? Everyone was curious. However, the cooking of the dish was not over yet. Dark clouds swirled in the sky. Bufong and Lu Yi put their hands behind their backs and raised their heads to look at the sky. Thunder rumbled, and a lightning dragon surged within. Rumbling sounds echoed in the surroundings. This was the dish lightning punishment that belonged to them. With their strength, the lightning punishments they would attract would definitely be incredible. At the very least, it would be 3 types of lightning punishments. Generally speaking, an immortal chef could only trigger 3 lightning punishments at most. With their strength, it was difficult for them to trigger more than 3 lightning punishments. A clap of thunder rang out. The sky was completely illuminated. Then, a lightning dragon drilled out of the thunderclouds, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Above Bufong's and Lu Yi's heads, lightning dragons swooped down at the same time. However, the lightning dragons were fighting each other in midair, which was within everyone's expectations. Everyone knew that with the great demon present, the lightning tribulation was destined to become a competition. This seemed to be influenced by the will of the heavenly way. Munchi was very calm. She raised her head to look at this scene. Although there was a look of surprise in her eyes, there was not too much of an uproar. Actually, she was a little curious as to who would win. Both of them were monstrous, but when 2 monstrous geniuses clashed, there would always be a winner and a loser. The key was who won and who lost. When the lightning dragons collided, the entire sky was illuminated. Shock waves spread out, stirring up tens of thousands of wind and waves. As the hurricane blew, the audience was stunned by the wind and waves. The sky was extremely bright. Lightning spread across the sky. Boom! After the first collision, the thunderbolts disappeared. After the second heaven-shaking collision, the lightning dissipated into thin air. In the third collision, the entire world seemed to be trembling. Resplendent light filled the skies. Boom! The collision of the third lightning tribulation ended with a loud bang. Everyone felt as if there was a huge rock in their hearts, making it difficult for them to breathe. But it was all over. The thunder tribulation battle was finally over. It was almost time for their favorite dishes to taste. Suddenly, someone was stunned. The third lightning tribulation had ended, but the sky was still overcast. Above Lu Yi's head, a deafening roar resounded. Rumble! An even thicker thunder dragon surged out of the black clouds and let out a ferocious roar. Oh my God! The fourth lightning tribulation? What's going on? The immortal chef's dish could trigger the fourth lightning tribulation? Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Quick, pinch me. The audience was stunned. Everyone's eyes were locked on the top of Lu Yi's head. There, another lightning tribulation was brewing. Lu Yi's fourth lightning tribulation appeared. What did that mean? It meant that the great demon was going to lose. No one had thought that after the twists and turns, such a scene would appear in the end. Lu Yi's dish had to pass the fourth lightning tribulation. However, the great demon's dish could only pass the third lightning tribulation. Wait a minute. The audience was a little bewildered. Turning their heads, they looked at the top of Bufong's head. The black clouds above Bufong's head hadn't dissipated yet. There was also a terrifying suppressive energy surging inside. Obviously, the fourth lightning tribulation was brewing. The audience was in an uproar. Another fourth lightning tribulation. The monstrous, the great demon, had also triggered the fourth lightning tribulation. It was really a tit for tat. It was so exciting that it made people's blood boil uncontrollably. The corners of City Lord Mengqi's mouth twitched. In the arena, the audience was in an uproar. City Lord Lu nodded, looking at Lu Yi and Bufong with admiration. City Lord Zhou, on the other hand, pinched his thumb and middle finger together, watching with great interest. Rumble! Bufong and Lu Yi stood proudly. Bufong's face was expressionless, while Lu Yi's face was full of fighting spirit. I, Lu Yi, will not lose. Lu he said coldly. His chest and words were filled with endless confidence. The fourth lightning tribulation had been brewing for a long time. In the end, it fell from the sky with a loud rumble. Its speed was so fast that it shocked people. The dish lightning tribulation was stronger than the previous one. The fourth lightning tribulation's power was even more terrifying. No one knew if there would be any accidents in the process of confronting the lightning tribulation. Bu Fong and Lu Yi were both in a defensive posture. Lu Yi's hand shook. In his hand, a jade talisman appeared. His mind flickered. Those jade talismans floated around his body, constantly drifting. In the end, they seemed to turn into a mysterious array. The array shone with dazzling brilliance. Bu Fong did not call out Xiao Bai. This time, he seemed to want to rely on his own strength to resist the fourth lightning tribulation. However, in the eyes of the audience, this was simply the behavior of a madman. The power of the fourth lightning tribulation was even more terrifying than the third. The great demon might be courting death. Rumble. Of course, more people thought that the fourth lightning tribulation would collide with each other. In the end, the winner would fall and continue to bombard. Bu Fong and Lu Yi were preparing to resist the aftermath of the lightning tribulation. However, soon, the audience found out that they were wrong. The fourth lightning tribulation did not collide with each other at all. They fell straight down, as if they had turned into two beams of light, blasting toward Lu Yi and Bu Fong. The thick lightning was extremely terrifying and spectacular. Lu Yi already had a plan in his heart. Mental force burst out, as if the jade talismans were blooming. The jade talismans flickered with brilliance and turned into 7 colors. They soared into the sky and turned into a barrier that enveloped him. The lightning tribulation directly fell, smashing on the 7-colored barrier, making Lu Yi's legs slightly bend. Obviously, the power of the fourth lightning tribulation was somewhat terrifying. However, although the fourth lightning tribulation was strong, it still could not break through Lu Yi's barrier. In the end, it dispersed. Only the dim 7-colored light on the barrier was left, as well as the slowly rising black smoke. It was blocked. The audience was slightly stunned. In the next instant, they burst into an uproar. The 7-colored light barrier shattered, and a wave of fragrance wafted out from within. The sound of water splashing and the rustling of leaves resounded unceasingly. Lu Yi exhaled. Looking at the immortal energy growing on the dish, he heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, the dish was completely completed. This was the dish that Lu Yi had spent the most effort to cook. It was also the dish that he had spent the most effort on. He had used all kinds of methods: immortal tongue, Qilin touch, mental force, and so on. Almost all of his trump cards had been used. He had risked his life just to leave an impression in City Lord Mengqi's heart. Lu Yi's face revealed a slight smile. He believed that this dish of his could definitely make City Lord Mengqi notice him. However, soon, Lu Yi's face froze, because he realized City Lord Mengqi's beautiful eyes did not look at him. Instead, they still fell on Bu Fong in the distance. There, Bu Fong slowly rolled up the bandage on his arm. It revealed his arm, which was covered with lines. The Tao Tai arm let out a heaven-shaking roar. It was the Tao Ye's soul wrapped in the arm roaring. The fourth lightning tribulation descended. Bu Fong did not let Xiao Bai come out to resist. Very good. Congratulations to the 2 contestants for completing their respective dishes. Next, it's time to evaluate the dishes. After tasting them, the 5 judges, including me, will give their comments and decide the final winner. City Lord Mengqi timely interrupted the silence and shock of the audience. She said gently. Her voice resounded throughout the entire place, bringing everyone back to their senses. The entire place became noisy again. Finally, it was time to taste it. Bu Fong had made 2 dishes of husband and wife lung slices. One was for the judges to evaluate, and the other was for you to eat. He hoped that this dish could suppress the curse in Yu's body. Lu Yi carefully brought the dish to the judge's table. His dish was wine pool and meat forest. After the judges watched it, they all revealed looks of surprise. A forest made of dragon meat, a pool of condensed wine. This dish was like a work of art. After the judges exclaimed, they picked up their chopsticks and began to taste it. Liu Yi's eyes were incomparably hot as he stared at City Lord Mengqi. Seeing City Lord Mengqi pick up a piece of dragon meat and put it into her red lips, his entire body trembled in excitement. On the other side, Bufang picked up the dish, slowly walking down the stage. Coming to Yu's side, he handed the plate of husband and wife lung slices with an extremely rich aroma to Yu. Have a taste. After eating this dish, you should feel better. Chapter 1064. Bufang passed the fragrant immortal dragon lung slice to Yu. The latter leaned against the netherworld ship, curiously raising her head. This seemed to be Bufang's new dish. Okay. Yu coldly nodded, then took the wooden chopsticks from Bufang. Yu's face was a little pale, and there was not a trace of blood on her red lips. However, her pitch-black eyes were very calm. Because she had awakened from the curse, her body would occasionally feel a stabbing pain. However, before she met Bufang, she had already gotten used to this kind of pain. Hence, she was very calm. The immortal dragon lung slice was a dish made from dragon meat and dragon offal. It was poured with a reddish-brown marinade, causing its fragrance to be a little enticing. This was considered a cold dish, and there was no steam coming from it. You took a deep breath, and instantly, the fragrance entered her nose. That wisp of fragrance was like a small snake, reverberating in Yu's nostrils, making her feel comfortable. She gently exhaled. You stretched out her chopsticks. She picked up the dragon meat that looked like a flower bud. The dragon meat was as thin as a cicada's wing, and the dragon meat's veins could still be seen. The reddish-brown marinade flowed down, dripping onto the plate. The dragon meat was also stained with some heavenly parsley. The corners of Bufang's mouth slightly rose. He looked at you, his hand holding the immortal dragon lung slice. As the dragon meat entered her mouth, you stuck out her tongue, rolling it into her mouth. As soon as the soft and fragrant dragon meat entered her mouth, Yu's eyes slightly lit up. She gently chewed. As her teeth bit down, she felt the tenderness of the dragon meat. The slightly spicy, sweet, and fragrant marinade spread in her mouth, instantly stimulating her taste buds. Coupled with the dragon meat that was as thin as a cicada's wing, the smooth texture made her feel as if someone was gently scratching the walls of her mouth. It was incomparably comfortable. Good. Delicious. Yu's pitch-black eyes slightly lit up. She stuck out her tongue, licking her red lips and the corner of her mouth. Her originally bloodless red lips instantly emitted a bright color after eating a piece of dragon meat. She appeared tender and alluring, appearing quite enchanting. As you chewed, her cheeks bulged slightly. She reached out with her chopsticks and picked up another piece of dragon meat. He stuffed the dragon meat into his mouth. You felt a wave of comfort flowing through her body, and she couldn't help but narrow her eyes. He chewed happily. Eat more if you like it, Bufang said. He handed the dish to you, then extended his hand. The formation that Yu Qi had given him immediately flickered with brilliance. He reached out and covered Yu's forehead. Yu's body glowed with a dark green light. Strands of essence energy twirled around it, causing the cursed snake that was sticking out its tongue to feel drowsy. It seemed like the dish was indeed useful. The corners of Bufang's mouth twitched slightly, feeling a little happy in his heart. You bit her chopsticks, her pitch-black eyes gazing at Bufang. Her long eyelashes slightly trembled. Bufang retracted his hand, patting Yu's head. Then, he turned around and walked toward the arena. There, the match was still waiting for him. You looked at Bufang's back as he left, her red lips slightly curling. Then, her chopsticks moved, picking up many pieces of dragon meat and stuffing them into her mouth. Her eyes curved, and her small mouth bulged as she chewed unceasingly. The corners of her mouth were stained with gravy. Gongshu Ban and Cici were the closest to you. The aroma of the husband and wife lung slice was incomparably thick, making them a little hungry. Cece abandoned Gong Shu Ban in disgust, moving closer to you. While eating happily, you glanced at Cece. Picking up a piece of dragon meat, she stuffed it into Cece's mouth. Instantly, the two girls, one big and one small, leaned against the netherworld ship, eating happily. Gong Shu Ban clearly felt that he was being despised. However, he still wanted to eat it. What should he do? He couldn't act cute like Cece. Instantly, he felt a little depressed. Bufong returned to the arena. Walking to the stove, he picked up the husband and wife lung slice that was placed on a blue and white porcelain plate. Slowly, he walked toward the judges' table. At the judges' table, the 5 judges had already begun to taste and evaluate Lu Yi's dish. Wine pool and meat forest. It was a very creative dish, making the dragon meat look like a forest. This required Lu Yi's knife skills to be very exquisite, and Lu Yi had the Qilin's touch, so his control of ingredients could even be compared to a Qilin chef. To him, making the meat forest was not difficult at all. Of course, this meat forest was not just for the appearance. There was also a lot to the cooking. He picked up a tree branch made of meat and bit it slowly. As soon as he bit down, the judge was bewildered. His eyes shrank, as though a beam of light had pierced through his mind. This feeling, the judge furrowed his brows, feeling a little serious. His mouth closed, biting down on the dragon meat. A burst of flavor instantly burst out, making the pores on his entire body open. "Is this egg liquid?" the judge exclaimed. Lu Yi was very satisfied with the judge's performance. He nodded, explaining, "That's right. Inside the dragon meat, there is egg liquid. It's a spirit beast egg of a bird species. This way, the taste of the egg liquid won't overpower the taste of the dragon meat." The egg liquid that flowed out was orange yellow. The thick egg liquid was incomparably hot, but it had not solidified. If it solidified, this dish would be useless. The solidified egg liquid would turn into egg yolk, which would affect the taste. Lu Yi first used his knife skills to chop the dragon loin meat into meat paste. Then he used the meat paste to wrap the egg liquid with the egg white removed. He controlled the temperature, making the egg liquid's temperature reach the extreme. Of course, he also did some auxiliary work. In the egg liquid, he added the juice of a kind of spirit herb. This juice could raise the egg liquid's stagnant temperature a little. As for cooking the dragon meat, he used stir-frying. Quickly over the heat, stir-frying the dragon meat. At the moment the dragon meat was cooked, the egg liquid inside had not solidified yet. This required extreme mental energy and control. Of course, there was no doubt that this was the effect of the Qilin's touch. The judge was very satisfied. With such a difficult operation, perhaps only Lu Yi, who had the Qilin's touch, could accomplish it. No wonder Lu Yi could be called the most promising person among the younger generation to achieve the Qilin's touch. What's under this dragon meat? Is it minced dragon meat? A judge used his chopsticks to pick up the mud-like particles under the forest and put them in his mouth. His eyes were a little surprised. It's minced meat made from the cartilage of the dragon loin meat. Using knife skills, it's cut into tiny particles that are smaller than sand and used as the soil. Of course, this taste is also very good, Lu Yi confidently replied. Wine pool. Could it be that this pool is filled with wine? A judge bit a spoonful of clear wine. Unlike the boiling hot meat forest, the wine actually gave off a kind of ice-cold feeling. Sizzle, after a mouthful of wine entered his stomach. That judge frowned, smacking his lips. This wine is okay, but it's a little low to go with this dish. Lu Yi smiled bitterly. This is the dragon tier wine that I personally brewed. I chose it in order to suit this dish. Originally, I had a better wine, but if I were to use it here, it would be a distraction. After all, the theme of this dish is dragons. Seems like you know in your heart. That judge smiled. Lu Yi's gaze finally landed on Mingqi. He was excited, curious, and his eyes were incomparably hot. However, soon he was disappointed. Mingqi didn't comment on anything. After elegantly eating, she put down her chopsticks and didn't move anymore. Lu Yi's heart was a little worried. Could it be that his dish wasn't enough to attract City Lord Mingqi? He wanted to get a word of praise from City Lord Mingqi. Was it that difficult? City Lord Mingqi. I wonder what kind of comment you have. Since City Lord Mengqi didn't want to say anything, he could only take the initiative to attack. Lu Yi stared at City Lord Mengqi with a fiery gaze, asking. In the audience stand, Zhou Lords was enraged. Old Lu, look, that kid surnamed Lu looked at Mengqi, and his eyes almost popped out. Simply shameless. Zhou Lords was so angry that his entire body was shaking. He pinched his thumb and middle finger, and his lips were trembling. Yeah, this kid's guts are really fat. City Lord Lu also nodded seriously, his eyes a little sharp. No one surnamed Lu is a good person. City Lord Zhou gestured with his thumb and middle finger, and then let out a rhythmic snort from his nose. City Lord Lu's face instantly darkened. He turned his head and coldly stared at Zhou Lords. Zhou Jieluan, if you say one more word, believe it or not, I will slap you to death with a bowl. City Lord Lu said. A black bowl appeared in his hand, and the energy in the bowl was extremely terrifying. Oh, you still want to slap me to death? Come on. If you can't slap me to death, I will change my surname to yours. Zhou Lords glared at City Lord Lu. He pinched his thumb and middle finger, both hands on his waist, and scolded City Lord Lu. City Lord Lu's heart was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. He had never seen such an unreasonable sissy. In the arena, Mengqi met Lu Yi's fiery gaze. Her beautiful face revealed a smile, and she casually said, "This dish isn't bad." That's it. Lu Yi was bewildered. Then, he was a little unwilling. She had dismissed him with such an all-purpose comment. However, he had no choice. He couldn't question Mengqi. He couldn't do it, and he didn't dare to. The audience had already seen Lu Yi's dish clearly through the huge light screen. That exquisite dish made everyone in the audience involuntarily cry out in surprise. This dish was almost perfect. Looks like Lu Yi will win for sure. Every detail could be said to be terrifying. No wonder he's the Heaven Chief, who is both the immortal tongue and the Qilin's touch. He's simply a proud son of heaven blessed by the heavens. Looks like there's no hope for the great demon. Even if he succeeds in resisting the thunder, how can the quality and details of the dish compare to Lu Yi's? The audience sighed with emotion. A monster was indeed a monster that made people despair and exclaim in admiration. Of course, there were also some people who held on to hope that the great demon would be able to create a miracle. Bu Fong carried the dish, coming to the judge's table. He placed the husband and wife lung slice in the middle, which was in front of Mengqi. Light shone down, and it was like a dream. Immortal energy curled up in spirals. Looking through the huge light screen, that plate of husband and wife lung slice was as exquisite as a work of art. It was like a budding flower bud, making people want to explore it. No wonder it could attract 4 lightning tribulations along with Lu Yi's wine pool and forest of flesh. Just based on appearance, it indeed did not lose to Lu Yi's wine pool and forest of flesh. HM, this is a cold dish? Mengqi looked at that dish, and her brows suddenly twitched. She looked at Bu Fong in confusion. Bu Fong expressionlessly nodded. You can say that. It's actually a cold dish? This is difficult. It's very difficult for a cold dish to bring out the taste of a meat dish to the extreme. You're abandoning your strong point. When one of the judges heard that Bu Fong was actually cooking a cold dish, he immediately shook his head in regret. In the Heaven Chief realm, there were naturally cold dishes. However, the so-called cold dishes were made by mixing immortal ingredients, immortal vegetables, and immortal herbs. With different sauces and seasonings, the taste was surprisingly good. However, it was rare for the Heaven Chief to combine meat ingredients with a cold dish. Meat should be used as a hot dish in order to bring out its fragrance and taste. When they heard that it was a cold dish, it wasn't just the judges who had lost confidence in Bu Fong. Even the audience present was in an uproar. All of them felt that it was a pity. Lu Yi also narrowed his eyes. The great demon was really bold. He actually dared to use a cold dish to compare with him. It looked like he was determined to win this match. However, very quickly, his expression froze, because Mengqi slowly opened her mouth. So what if it's a cold dish? As for the taste, we'll only know after tasting it. It's too early to make a conclusion now, Mengqi said. The other judges immediately nodded. Of course, in their hearts, they did not agree. Lu Yi suddenly felt as if his heart was pierced by an invisible arrow. How could you be like this? City Lord Mengqi, you're clearly biased. Swish! Mengqi picked up her chopsticks and picked up a piece of dragon meat that was as thin as a cicada's wing. Under the light, the meat seemed to reflect brilliance. Then, under the gaze of tens of thousands of people, she stuffed the meat, which was dripping with marinade, into her small, dark red mouth. Once it entered her mouth, City Lord Mengqi's eyes instantly lit up. Chapter 1065. Below the stage, Lu Yi nodded respectfully, slightly bowing. His tightly clenched fists couldn't help but loosen. The choice he had made had everyone in an uproar. This cold dish had broken the norm, making them feel very strange. The fishy smell of the mixed dragon has been cleanly removed. If I'm not wrong, you must have added wine in it. This wine is definitely not ordinary. While removing the fishy smell of the mixed dragon, it also made the dish's mellow fragrance burst out. The meat's fragrance is locked in the dish. It didn't dissipate like I imagined. Look at that juice, look at that clear dragon meat. I suddenly want to eat it. While the audience was still in a trance, a slightly mischievous and gentle laughter rang out. He couldn't lose. He knew that no one could defeat him. The idea of the wine pond and the forest of meat is very good, and the cooking method is also very good. Although I'm very satisfied with this cold dish, compared to cold dishes, I prefer hot dishes. So this vote, I'll vote for Lu Yi. Bufang looked at the judges with an expressionless face. He didn't care about the judges' choice. The judges were all praising Bufang's dish. On the stage, Bufang's arms were slightly hanging, his face calm, as though he didn't have the slightest worry. That judge smacked his lips. His eyes didn't look at Lu Yi, but directly fell on Bufang's body. The corners of Lu Yi's mouth twitched, a little indignant. The fourth judge was an old man. No, how could I lose? Lu Yi clenched his fists, gritting his teeth. His eyes revealed a resolute look. One of the judge's eyes lit up as he ate the soft dragon head meat. After rubbing his beard, he reached out his hand, his fingertips gently tapping on the judge's table. The audience stared at that judge, their eyes full of curiosity. His goal was to become a Chilean chef. A Chilean chef who could stand shoulder to shoulder with City Lord Mengqi. At first, his eyes were calm, but soon his eyes became incomparably hot. Lu Yi was very satisfied, his face finally revealing a smile. Lu Yi bowed, nodding, his face revealing a smile. His gaze landed on Bufang's body, then shifted to Lu Yi's body. After losing 2 votes, the great demon actually won back 2 votes in a row. How exciting! Why do I feel like the judges are eating with relish? How could he lose to the great demon? Although the dish, wine pool, and meat forest is flawed, as an immortal chef, to be able to cook it to this extent is already very good. So, I choose to give my vote to Lu Yi. This time, I choose Bufang. There is no reason. It is purely because this dish makes me feel happy. The judge said. Finally, with a gulp, the bouncy dragon belly was chewed up and swallowed. It flowed down his throat and into his stomach. The second judge rubbed his chin and pondered for a long time. His gaze was hesitant between the husband and wife lung slice and the wine pool and meat forest. Moreover, among these 2 judges, one was City Lord Mengqi, whom he had yearned for day and night. He was very concerned about City Lord Mengqi's decision. Cooking all kinds of dragon offal and dragon meat together, the feeling of cooking was different. As long as either of these 2 judges chose him, he would be able to win this challenge. Lu Yi was no longer calm. There was a trace of panic in his eyes. A smile suddenly bloomed on his beautiful face. Was the great demon going to be crushed? The audience was about to go berserk. Each of them had red eyes, panting, staring at the stage. As long as there was one more vote, Lu Yi would be able to win this chef's challenge. At that time, the great demon would suffer a crushing defeat. However, Buffon's husband and wife lung slice was different. Everyone stared blankly at the judge. He felt that he might lose. The taste in his mouth was the rich aroma of meat. Mengqi was very satisfied. This was the first time she had eaten this kind of meat cold dish, and the taste was unexpectedly good. Now, there's only one vote left to decide the outcome. Who will win? I really want to know. The entire audience was in an uproar. The audience was already in an uproar. However, in the eyes of the audience, it was just a tough dish. The audience's confidence in Lu Yi was more than his confidence in himself. It looked like he was going to win this match. It was as if every bit of taste of the meat was wrapped in it. Only by tasting it could one understand the difference. However, the great demon's dish was still tough. City Lord Mengqi elegantly chewed the dragon belly meat. However, the more she chewed, the more flavorful it became. The dragon meat's taste was fully displayed. The essence of the meat seeped out as she chewed, like sweet sugar cane water, filling her mouth and wrapping around her taste buds. If it was a 0, it would be very embarrassing. However, he still had a hope in his heart, and that was that Buffon could win. Why would Yu Qi and the others fear her when the curse was completely unleashed? This cold dish is great. Very good. It makes me feel different cooking techniques and techniques. To be able to eat such a dish is a kind of happiness. Or rather, he already had a card up his sleeve. The judge said. All of a sudden, the judge reached out his hand, pointing at Buffon. The only one who could defeat him was himself. She could see that he really liked this cold dish. As for which realm in the true God realm, she was not sure. If she was not wrong, she should have already stepped into the true God realm. Thank you, Judge, for your comments. She wanted to decide the final winner. One of the judges nodded, his face very serious. He was a genius, a proud son of heaven. The cursed snake was very mysterious. While bringing her pain, it also brought her strength. The judge said to Lu Yi in a serious tone, "So, who should he choose?" At that level, even old Hades would be afraid. You stuffed the last piece of dragon head meat into her mouth. Her black eyes gazed at the arena as she chewed. Lu Yi, your innate talent isn't bad. Remember, don't be arrogant and impatient. That way, you can walk further on your path, and you'll have a chance to reach the supreme Qilin Chef realm. Worthy of being called the Great Demon, he was indeed not like ordinary people. This decision was very difficult, because it would decide the champion of the Heaven Chief competition. They didn't dare to make any mistakes. The judge said. Gong Shuban clenched his fists, his palms sweating. It was different from the first dragon meat. The dragon belly meat was very elastic and chewy. It seemed that the great demon still had a vote. Normally, a cold dish with meat couldn't fully release the meat's delicious taste. The cold dish is delicious. The cooking technique and method of the husband and wife lung slice are worthy of praise. However, a cold dish is still a cold dish. Hot dishes have advantages that cold dishes can't reach. To be able to fully display the meat's taste, this cold dish is a little different. Lu Yi had the immortal tongue, the Qilin's touch, the heart of cooking path, and a powerful immortal flame. The thick meat aroma gushed out, with a little spiciness and a little sweetness. It was also a little intoxicating. Although the curse was tormenting her body, it had unknowingly strengthened her body. Thus, he put on a serious attitude to taste and evaluate this dish. His eyes gazed at City Lord Mengqi. The audience exhaled deeply. They thought that the great demon would get a 0, which scared them so much that they tensed up. It was because if the curse broke out completely, you would lose your intellect and become the cursed spirit's puppet. At that time, Yu's power would rise to an unimaginable level under the cursed spirit's control. The last judge was City Lord Mengqi. They almost won, but in the end, a judge chose Buffon. This dish seemed to change their view of the world. This time, the situation was a little complicated. However, it didn't matter. He still had 2 more chances. What a wonderful idea. Gongshu Ban clenched his fists, his eyes gazing at the arena. His body was shivering. The 5 judges put down their chopsticks. They had finished tasting. Lu Yi had never been so nervous before. Although it was a cold dish, it had won the approval of almost all the judges. That smile made hundreds of flowers lose their color, making all living things lose their splendor. I'm voting for Bufong because both dishes have wine, but Bufong's cold dish has the best wine. The smooth texture, coupled with the rich and lingering wine aroma. The beef and ox lung slice and chili sauce is slightly better. It seemed it didn't matter to the result. Looking at each other, they could see the questioning look in each other's eyes. They seemed to be communicating and discussing. City Lord Mengqi seemed to feel the gazes of tens of thousands of people. There was no doubt that it was delicious. Swish! Swish! She reached out her chopsticks, digging around. Then she found a piece of dragon belly meat, shoving it into her mouth. Through the giant light screen, they saw that dish, which was overflowing with radiant lights. Everybody took a deep breath. He had never thought that in the end, City Lord Mengqi would decide his future. A cold dish could reach such a level. Many people were so surprised that they couldn't think of anything else. The audience was boiling with excitement. This smile was the smile of a winner. The audience was so excited. City Lord Mengqi narrowed her eyes, looking at Bufong meaningfully. Yu's pitch-black eyes gazed at the arena. Under this smile, everyone was a little absent-minded. The first judge said with a serious face. This judge's choice was straightforward. This vote, I choose Bufong. Everybody was bewildered. The smooth dragon meat instantly spread in their mouths like soft cotton candy, instantly filling their entire mouths. Moreover, you could feel that her cultivation base had improved by leaps and bounds with the awakening of the curse. The judge said. This smile made Lu Yi's heart turn cold. Of course, there were also some audience members who felt sorry for the great demon. The audience felt that it was inconceivable. This ending was beyond their expectations. After eating this dish that was filled with essence energy, the pain caused by the curse in her body disappeared a lot. Now, her whole body was relaxed. She directly slapped the table and chose Bufong. At least, she wouldn't lose face. To be able to get a vote from Lu Yi was already very rare. He saw City Lord Mengqi happily eating the husband and wife lung slice. Her eyes were narrowed, and a gentle smile appeared on her face. If this cold dish was cooked by an ordinary person, at this moment, it would have been bombarded by Lu Yi's dish. Lu Yi's eyes shrank. He felt a sense of crisis. I thought that the great demon would definitely lose. Now, it seems that might not be the case. This way, it would save him from the embarrassment of having a clean sweep. Everyone in the audience felt as if they were drenched in ice water. They were completely shocked. Didn't they say that cold dishes can't bring out the extreme of meat ingredients? That way, their first layer's heaven chief would be able to completely turn the tables. The third judge finally spoke. It was simple and unpretentious. Therefore, old Hades banished you. All the hell overlords were afraid that Yu's cursed snake would awaken. What about a heaven chief from the first layer's heaven chief realm? The audience drooled as they looked at the big screen. They couldn't help but turn their heads and whisper to each other. Who did City Lord Mengqi say she would choose? Seeing this, Yu also heaved a sigh of relief and continued to eat the husband and wife lung slice. No one expected that Lu Yi would actually take the lead with a score of 2-0. The judge commented. He was very nervous. Very nervous. He didn't know what the final result would be. As soon as this evaluation came out, he was the #1 genius of a younger generation. He was the darling of the heavens. He had an immortal tongue and Qilin's tentacles. How could he lose? Bufong, on the other hand, was very indifferent. He looked at it expressionlessly. Wine pool and flesh forest. To bring out the meat's taste completely, egg yolk, which is very particular about the heat control, was added into the meat. The cooking difficulty is very high, but the taste is excellent. It's really not bad. As for the cold dish husband and wife lung slice, It's a completely different cooking method. Using cold dishes, it brings out the meat's fragrance, softness, smoothness, and tenderness to the fullest. Both dishes are very good. Chapter 1066. I choose Bufang, City Lord Mengqi said with a smile. City Lord Mengqi said with a smile. In that instant, her beautiful face bloomed, causing everyone to be intoxicated and at the same time stunned. Who? Who did City Lord Mengqi choose? Everyone felt as if they were hallucinating. Did they hear the wrong name? City Lord Mengqi actually chose the Great Demon. OF*CK. This time, it was going to explode. If City Lord Mengqi chose the Great Demon, it meant that Bufang had successfully counterattacked with 3-2 votes, defeating Lu Yi and becoming the champion of this year's Heaven Chief competition. This was F*King big news. The entire Heaven Chief realm was going to explode. Who was the Great Demon? He was just a Heaven Chief from the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm. The first layer of the Heaven Chief realm had no resources and no talent. In the history of the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm, the best result was barely squeezing into the top 200. This kind of backward layer could actually produce a monstrous genius who won the first place of the Heaven Chief competition. Oh my God! This result was a huge blow to everyone, causing them to be in a state of confusion. As for Lu Yi, he had long been dumbfounded on the spot. His eyes had become listless. At this moment, only City Lord Mengqi's words echoed in his mind. I choose Bufang. If you want to choose, then choose. Can you not say it so mischievously? 3-2, 2-3. The Great Demon wanted to defy the heavens. 1. Gongshu Ban was a little sluggish. For a moment, he could not react. However, soon, a divine light burst out from his eyes. He could not help but excitedly clench his fists, fiercely waving them in the air. Roar! Honorable One, first place. The first layer finally has the first place of the Heaven Chief competition. Gongshu Ban was so excited that his eyes were red, as if tears were about to burst out his eyes. He was moved. He had never been so moved before. Everything that Honorbu had done for the first floor, he was so touched that he wanted to cry. Bufang was very calm, but he couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. It was just a daily routine. When he won the first place in the Heaven Chief competition, the solemn voice of the system resounded in his mind. Congratulations to the host for completing the temporary task and awakening the heart of Cooking Path. Now releasing the temporary task reward, a fragment of the God of Cooking set. There was only the sound of the system. This meant that Bufang still had a temporary mission that he had yet to complete. Thinking about it carefully, it made sense. The other temporary task was for Bufang to squeeze into the top 10, obtain the qualification to enter the Heaven Tree space, and obtain the Heaven Tree seed in the Heaven Tree space. Only by completing these harsh conditions could the temporary mission be considered completed. However, even though he had only completed one mission, it was still a pleasant surprise for Bufang. The reward was a fragment of the God of Cooking set. Suddenly, Bufang's breathing became a little rapid, and his calm heart began to ripple. He had finally collected enough fragments to exchange for the fourth fragment of the God of Cooking set. He wondered what the fourth fragment of the God of Cooking set would be. Of course, at this moment, no matter how excited Bufang was, he didn't exchange for it. He lifted his head, his eyes looking at City Lord Mengqi, who was sitting on the judge's seat, smiling. He nodded at City Lord Mengqi. No, City Lord Mengqi, I can't accept this. How could I lose? Which part of me didn't do well enough? Lu Yi suddenly went berserk. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he clutched his head, roaring in dissatisfaction. This result was hard for him to accept. He had lost. How could he lose like that? How could he lose to a trash Heaven Chief from the first layer? He couldn't accept this. Everybody became silent. Indeed, this result was hard for people to accept. With Lu Yi's cooking skills, he should have been able to get the first place in the Heaven Chief competition. However, the Great Demon came out of nowhere, crushing all the way. Finally, he defeated the monster from the fifth layer, Lu Yi, and won the first place. Such a legendary experience made many people feel that it was unreal. The Great Demon is only from the first layer. The Heaven Chief from the first layer can also get the first place. I really feel sorry for Lu Yi. Since Lu Yi was born, how could Bufang be born? Everyone looked at the arena with complicated eyes. Below the arena, all the Heaven Chief participants were incomparably quiet, dumbfounded. They didn't know what to say. They had always thought that Lu Yi could crush the Great Demon. But they were wrong. Lu Yi was defeated. This made their minds suffer an unprecedented blow. Suddenly, laughter rang out from below the arena. That laughter was full of joy. Everyone's eyes shifted over and found that the person who laughed was actually a figure wrapped in a black robe. Behind that black-robed figure, there was a tall and burly figure wrapped in a black robe. Just by standing there, these two silhouettes exuded an invisible pressure. Some people recognized this black-robed figure. He was also a dark horse in this competition. Now that he had entered the top 15, he should be challenging the top 10. What did he mean by laughing at this moment? Everyone only felt that it was full of ridicule toward Lu Yi. Don't mind me. I just can't help but want to laugh. After I finish laughing, I will start the challenge. The black-robed figure clutched his stomach and laughed. The surrounding people were a little speechless, but some people's hearts were cold. The black-robed figure was going to continue the challenge. It seemed that the top 10, someone was in danger. Lu Yi's eyes were a little unsatisfied as he stared at City Lord Mengqi, his eyes bloodshot. He, Lu Yi, was not someone who could not accept failure, but he could not accept that this failure was caused by City Lord Mengqi. That interrogative gaze caused the warm smile on City Lord Mengqi's face to slowly disappear. Her face gradually became cold. Her body emitted a wave of pressure. This pressure made the few judges closest to her feel suffocated. This pressure belonged to a Qilin chef. In the audience, City Lord Lu and Zhou Lord's eyes slightly brightened. Oh, the surnamed Lu is a retard. He actually dared to provoke little sister Mengqi like this. Isn't he courting death? Zhou Lord's pinched the orchid in his hand, harumphing. City Lord Lu's face stiffened. With an ashen face, he turned his head, staring at Zhou Lord's. Zhou Jieluan, if you say one more word, believe or not, I will really slap you to death. The pressure from Mengqi's body made the four judges' hearts tremble. In the next instant, everyone revealed a shocked expression. Lu Yi quickly apologized to City Lord Mengqi. How can you talk to a Qilin chef like that? A judge roared. Lu Yi's heart trembled. He stubbornly raised his head, his eyes filled with indignation and dissatisfaction. You're not satisfied? Mengqi said indifferently, her voice no longer as gentle as before. At this moment, all of Lu Yi's actions were challenging her dignity as a Qilin chef. The dignity of a Qilin chef could not be violated. Suddenly, the void was torn apart. Two figures walked out from it. One was a black dog walking like a cat, and the other was a blond man wearing a loose robe, his naked body faintly discernible. Oh, who made our little Meng Meng angry? A lazy and playful voice rang out. The void was torn apart. The figures of Lord Go and Realm Lord Dit appeared on the stage. City Lord Dit walked to Mengqi's side, and a judge's heart trembled. He hurriedly gave up his seat, letting the Realm Lord sit down. This was a Realm Lord. Lord Go also leisurely sat down. These judges naturally knew his identity. A dog that had bitten the heavenly path. Who dared to offend him? A man and a dog then elegantly sat down. Realm Lord Dit's eyes looked at Lu Yi in the distance. It seemed that this kid had provoked little Meng Meng. He's not satisfied with my evaluation. City Lord Mengqi said helplessly. Oh, just an immortal chef, actually doubting the judgment of a Qilin chef. Tell this Realm Lord, who gave you the courage? Realm Lord Dit said, crossing his legs. Lu Yi's face turned red. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't. That was the Realm Lord. He wanted to refute, but he didn't know what to say. Boom! All of a sudden, Realm Lord Dit's palm slapped the table. Qilin chefs are the top existences in the Heaven Chief realm. How can you doubt their judgment? Don't think that just because you have a little talent, you can ascend to the heavens. You're still far from it. Realm Lord Dit said coldly. It made Lu Yi's legs tremble. The entire place was silent. Listening to Realm Lord Dit's shout, they felt their hearts tremble. The prestige of the #1 expert in the Heaven Chief realm. Who dared to refute him? Oh, Realm Lord. So handsome. Zo Lord's eyes were filled with stars. His palms were clasped together, supporting his chin as his body swayed. City Lord Lu, who was wearing a white robe, looked at Zo Lord's appearance, and he instantly felt a chill. Realm Lord Dit's gaze carried pressure, making Lu Yi unable to say a word. Then, Realm Lord Dit shifted his gaze, his eyes landing on the dish on the table. Is this the dish of the 2 contestants? Very good. Since you're not convinced, then this dog and I will be the judges again. We don't know which dish is yours, and which dish is Little Boo Boo's. We will taste it now and give our evaluation. Are you convinced? Realm Lord Dit said. Lu Yi's eyes instantly brightened. Good. This was the fairest decision. Since the Realm Lord didn't know which dish the 2 of them had cooked, this evaluation was not based on the chef's evaluation, so it was the most convincing. Realm Lord Dit swung his long golden hair, grabbing his chopsticks. His eyes landed on the pool of wine and the forest of meat. Picking up a piece of meat, he stuffed it into his mouth. As he bit down, the meat broke, and the egg juice instantly gushed out, filling his mouth with a rich fragrance. Realm Lord Dit's brows arched, but he didn't change his expression. Lord Go waved his dog paw, and a piece of dragon meat entered his mouth. After chewing for a while, the egg juice instantly burst out. Lord Go's dog face furrowed. The audience's heart skipped a beat. Realm Lord Dit and Lord Go indifferently looked at Lu Yi, the corners of their mouths hanging playfully. In the end, their target turned to Bufang's dish. Husband and wife lung slice, a cold dish? Realm Lord Dit lightly exclaimed. Now he knew why Lu Yi was not convinced. He had lost to a cold dish. No wonder Lu Yi, who had always been proud of himself, felt so sullen. A man and a dog, one after another, began to eat. The dragon meat entered their mouths, and the soft and tender texture instantly exploded. Realm Lord Dit and Lord Go's eyes lit up. It's obvious that it's Little Boo Boo's cooking style. Lord Go didn't say anything. His dog paw waved, and instantly, a few more pieces of dragon meat entered his mouth. Lu Yi's face paled again, his body staggered. You still don't know where you lost? Realm Lord Dit pinched a piece of dragon meat, looking at Lu Yi as he said indifferently, I'm not convinced. Lu Yi stubbornly stared. The audience held their breaths. Looking at the stubborn Lu Yi, Realm Lord Dit stood up shakily. He sighed. Stubborn child, it seems that you need to feel the thrill of being naked. The dignity of a Chilean chef cannot be violated. Remember this lesson. Realm Lord Dit said indifferently. In the next instant, he pointed his finger at Lu Yi and flicked. Boom! Lu Yi's eyes suddenly became dull. An invisible force flicked his head, and his figure instantly flew out. In the process of flying back, his clothes exploded. Her naked body was exposed, with only a pair of underwear left on it. Pada! Lu Yi fell to the ground, his face lifeless. The audience was in an uproar. Zo Lords and City Lord Lu both revealed a bitter smile. However, this brat deserves it. He's lucky to have encountered the good-tempered Sister Meng Qi. If he had encountered me and dared to offend me like this, I would have crushed his balls with a single slap. Zo Lords flicked his thumb and middle finger, arrogantly snorting. City Lord Lu glanced at Zo Lords, feeling a wave of disgust. You lost. You lost in the feelings you poured into the dish. Bufang's dish has emotions, and your dish is just a dish. Meng Qi said indifferently. Lu Yi was stunned. In the next instant, his body began to shake violently. Swish! A figure entered the arena, and a long robe wrapped around Lu Yi's body. That was Lu Yi's father, a third-grade Heaven Chief. At this moment, the latter looked at Lu Yi with a complicated expression, helplessly sighing. The winner is from the first layer of Heaven Chief. Bufong. Mengshi opened her mouth to say. Her majestic voice resounded throughout the entire arena. In the next instant, the entire arena was in an uproar. However, in the midst of the uproar, a peal of laughter rang out clearly. Congratulations to Owner Boo. Next, it's my turn to challenge. No one knew when the black-cloaked man had slowly walked onto the arena. His voice resounded, attracting everyone's gaze. Bufong was stunned. He turned his head to look, frowning. You want to challenge me? Bufong asked, puzzled. However, the black-cloaked man shook his head. Now is not the time to challenge Owner Boo. My current goal is the black-cloaked man revealed a despicable smile. Finally, a gaze seemed to shoot out from the black robe, locking on Lu Yi's body. It's you. Are you desperate? Chapter 1067. The black-cloaked man's words silenced the entire audience. Everyone's gaze fell on the black-cloaked man's body, and for a moment, they were a little sluggish. Lu Yi, who was lying on the ground and wrapped in a long robe, was slightly stunned. His bloodshot eyes suddenly turned, and then he raised his head, landing on the black-cloaked man. Because the latter was wrapped in a black robe, his appearance could not be seen clearly. But Lu Yi seemed to be able to feel the gaze that was throwing stones at him while he was down. That gaze caused the rage in his heart to erupt like a volcano. You want to challenge me? Lu Yi slowly crawled up from the ground, his face incomparably gloomy. The words seemed to be squeezed out from between his teeth. That's right, don't you feel despair? However, the black-cloaked man laughed, and his words carried a bit of ridicule. That's right, ridicule. The audience was in an uproar. They did not know where this black-cloaked man came from. Suddenly, the audience let out a cry of surprise. All along, they had been attracted by the great demon, ignoring the other dark horse in this year's Heaven Chief competition, which was this black-cloaked man in front of them. The latter was almost like the great demon, with an invincible attitude, sweeping his way into the top 20. Now, he wanted to challenge the top 10. No one knew the background of this black-cloaked man, and looking at his appearance, the black-cloaked man seemed to be very familiar with the great demon. The two of them seemed to know each other, but even so, this black-cloaked man dares to challenge Lu Yi. He is really too arrogant. Although Lu Yi lost to the great demon, he is still the #1 monster of the 5th layer. How can anyone challenge him? Despair? I'm afraid this black-cloaked man is about to despair. The audience really could not stand it anymore. The black-cloaked man's tone of adding insult to injury made them feel indignant, and they all opened their mouths to speak. Lu Yi's face was also cold, and there seemed to be a sharp glint in his eyes. He had been humiliated by the great demon once. Could it be that he would be humiliated again by this nobody that came out of nowhere? You want to challenge me? Very well, I accept. However, you need to pay the price for your challenge. Let's do a chef's challenge. Lu Yi said coldly. After experiencing a failure, he became even more irritable. Chef's challenge? The black-robed man was slightly taken aback. In the distance, Bufong was also slightly stunned. Speaking of chef's challenge, I forgot about your kitchen knife. Bufong scratched the back of his head. In the next moment, a formation emerged beneath his feet. A crystal saber cabinet appeared in the formation, and a powerful suction force burst forth from the cabinet. Lu Yi, who was far away, suddenly felt a burst of suction, sucking his kitchen knife over. You! Anger appeared on Lu Yi's face. However, these were the rules of the chef's challenge, so he had no choice. If you're willing to bet, you must be willing to lose. Bufong shrugged his shoulders and said lightly. Lu Yi coldly snorted. The corner of his mouth twitched. Although he didn't show it, his heart was bleeding. That was a high-grade kitchen knife, after all. Damn, the great demon. Ha ha! You want to have a chef's challenge with me? However, a burst of laughter broke his painful mood. Lu Yi's gaze turned over and saw the black-robed man laughing at the sky, as if he was laughing at an idiot. This kind of laughter made him even angrier. What are you laughing at? He clenched his fists and said coldly. Laughing at your idiot. Chef's challenge. Very good. I like it, the black-robed man said playfully. This thing about cooking. I'm much more skilled than Owner Boo. The black-robed man's words made Bufong slightly dazed. In the next moment, his eyes narrowed as if he remembered something. This black-robed man gave him a familiar feeling. Could it be that he came from the hidden dragon continent, like him? The chef's challenge came from the Valley of Gluttony, and the latter said that they were more familiar with chef's challenges than him. Could it be a chef from the Valley of Gluttony? There didn't seem to be anyone from the Valley of Gluttony who came to the Heaven Chief realm with him. Wait a minute. It was as if a beam of light suddenly shot through Bufong's mind. Bufong remembered everything that had happened in the sky above the endless sea. There was another person from the Valley of Gluttony who had entered the Heaven Chief realm. It was the first Valley Master of the Valley of Gluttony. No wonder he said that he was familiar with the Chef's Challenge. This Chef's Challenge should be his invention. Phew, an old friend. The corners of Bufong's mouth suddenly rose. He seemed to be interested. The black-robed man seemed to feel something. He slightly turned around, looking at Bufong. Owner Boo seems to recognize this old friend, said the black-robed man. The black-robed man said, although he had been recognized, he still did not take off his black robe. Oh, I thought you guys were dead. I didn't think that you would come here. Bufong nodded. His gaze turned, falling on the huge black-robed figure. If this black-robed man was the first Valley Master of the Valley of Gluttony, then this huge, burly man should be the strongest Demon King. Bufong took a deep breath, the corners of his mouth rising. A moment later, he put away the knife cabinet, turned around, and walked off the arena. Now it's time for you guys to perform, Bufong said casually. Walking off the arena, he walked to the side of the Netherworld ship. You held the blue and white porcelain plate that she had licked clean. Her big eyes blinked at Bufong. Finished? Asked Bufong. Yeah, you nodded. Bufong raised his hand. The array in his hand sparkled, covering Yu's fair forehead. Buzz, immediately, Nethery's body emitted a dark green radiance. The cursed snake had fallen asleep. Apparently, it was subdued by Bufong's dish. Exhaling in relief, Bufong retracted his hand, nodding. Seems like it's not bad. Bufong, I'm hungry. However, Yu was still holding the plate, staring at Bufong. How could she be hungry after eating a bowl of husband and wife lung slice? However, after thinking about it, Bufong understood. Perhaps the energy of the husband and wife lung slice had been used to suppress the curse. That was why you felt hungry. Bufong thought about it. His mind flickered. Instantly, a steaming hot oyster pancake appeared in his hand, and he handed it to Yu. This was the improved version of the oyster pancake, and its taste was excellent. He also added a chili strip, which was made with the improved abyssal chili sauce. Its taste was better than the previous one. Eat it, Bufong said. Yu narrowed her eyes, nodding. With a crunch, she bit down on the oyster pancake. In that instant, the crispy skin of the oyster pancake broke, revealing the tender white meat inside. A rich aroma lingered, drifting out, echoing in the entire arena. Everyone couldn't help but sniff. Teacher Boo, Cece wants to eat it too. The little girl, Cece, pursed her lips. The corner of her mouth still had the soup from the husband and wife lung slice. She pulled on Bufong's sleeve, raised her head, and blinked her big eyes. Bufong was helpless. He could only take out an oyster pancake and hand it to Cece. The little girl instantly ate it excitedly. Gongshu Ban was at a loss. So fragrant. He also wanted to eat it, but he didn't know how to act cute. His heart was so stifled. Hence, below the stage, the three of them bit on the fragrant oyster pancake and a chili strip, staring at each other on the stage. The audience was speechless. They couldn't help but want to complain. The Great Demon, can you be more serious? The atmosphere on the stage is so serious. The aroma of the oyster pancake will destroy the atmosphere. Of course, the two people on the stage didn't notice the aroma. He took a deep breath and tightened his robe. He stared at the black-cloaked man. Okay, I promise you. The black-cloaked man chuckled, snapping his fingers. He was waiting for you to say that. Very good. Let's confirm the chef's challenges bet first. Buzz, Lu Yi's hand shook, and another immortal kitchen knife appeared in his hand. Don't worry, I have plenty of immortal kitchen knives, Lu Yi said calmly. However, the black-cloaked man responded to him with a strange gaze. Are you an idiot? Lu Yi was puzzled. Honorbu is a kind person. His chef's challenge is to win against your kitchen knives, but I'm different. I'm the creator of the chef's challenge. My chef's challenge will make people despair. The black-cloaked man suddenly said. However, his words made people feel pressured. Lu Yi's eyes shrank. The chef's challenges conditions. The loser has to hand over all kitchen tools and is not allowed to touch anything related to cooking for 10 years. Those who violate the conditions will be punished by the Great Path. How about it? Exciting, right? The black-cloaked man said. As soon as he said that, the audience went into an uproar. Hand over all kitchen tools and not allowed to touch anything related to cooking for 10 years? Although the Heaven Chief's life is long, and 10 years is nothing to the Heaven Chief, if he doesn't touch cooking for 10 years, he will definitely be surpassed by others countless times. This black-cloaked man wants to cut off Lu Yi's thoughts of becoming a Chilean chef. The audience sucked in a breath of cold air, feeling a chill in their bodies. This was the real chef's challenge? So vicious and despicable. On the stage, Realm Lord Dit couldn't help but furrow his brows. City Lord Mengqi was also focused. However, they couldn't say anything to stop him, because the black-cloaked man had decided the chef challenge with a negotiating tone. If Lu Yi agreed, then they couldn't stop him. Lu Yi was silent. The price of failure was too high, and he couldn't bear it. TSK, TSK, TSK. Weak chicken. No wonder you lost to Honorbu. With your courage, you will never be able to surpass Honorbu in your lifetime. Also, with your level, you want to get the attention of City Lord Mengqi? Dream on. The black-cloaked man laughed. These words were like a heavy hammer pounding on Lu Yi's heart. It made Lu Yi's eyes pop. Damn it, I won't lose. I will definitely surpass the great demon. Just you wait, then show me. The black-cloaked man sneered, spreading his hands. Come, I will accept this chef's challenge. Where I fall, I will climb up. I want to surpass everything. Lu Yi gritted his teeth, his eyes emitting a cold brilliance. Very good. I've been waiting for you to say this. The black-cloaked man smiled. However, I have another condition. You have already accepted the chef's challenge, so you won't reject this condition, right? What condition? If you fail, let me devour your heart of cooking path, the black-cloaked man said. The black-robed man said. His tone instantly became very cold. On the stage, Realm Lord Dit and Lord Go's eyes suddenly shrank. Lu Yi's face stiffened, his pupils shrinking. You want to kill me? What a joke. When I say devour, I mean devour the will of the heart of cooking path. Don't be afraid. You won't die. The black-cloaked man smiled. However, this smile seemed to come from a demon from the abyss. Crunch, crunch, at this time, an untimely crunching sound, as well as a faint aroma wafting over, broke the silence. Lu Yi turned his head to look at Bufong, who was biting the oyster pancake, and then looked at City Lord Mengqi on the stage. Suddenly, he let out a deep breath. In the next instant, his eyes opened, and an incomparable battle intent erupted. There was a touch of determination emerging. I agree. The entire audience was in an uproar. Lu Yi actually agreed to such a vicious bet. This, if he lost, he would really be consigned to eternal damnation. This black-cloaked man proposed this bet, and he definitely did not have good intentions. TSK, TSK. Courageous. I like your stubborn look. The black-cloaked man grinned. Mengqi once again became the host of this chef's challenge. After hesitating for a moment, she proposed the theme of this chef's challenge. The audience watched in silence. They suddenly felt a little nervous because it was different from the match with the great demon. In this match, the black-cloaked man bared his fangs. The price paid by the losing side was too heavy. The chef's challenge begins. Mengqi clasped her hands behind her back, slowly opening her mouth. In the next instant, The clamor soared to the sky. Lu Yi's eyes erupted with a radiance that soared to the sky. A kitchen knife soared into the sky, displaying the ultimate knife skill. A huge Buddha phantom appeared behind him. Knife skill, laughing Buddha with 1,000 hands. The black cloak man calmly looked at Lu Yi. He let out a breath. Then he raised his hand. Pitch-black fingernails, slender palms. A pitch-black kitchen knife was covered with spiderweb-like blood-colored lines, filled with a tyrannical aura. The kitchen knife moved horizontally. The black cloak man looked at Lu Yi. Then, TSK, TSK, TSK. Feel despair. Boom! In just an instant, a terrifying pressure erupted from the black-cloaked man. Lu Yi's mind trembled. In the next instant, the laughing Buddha with 1,000 hands collapsed inch by inch. His mind trembled, and he could not hold the kitchen knife anymore, dropping it on the stove. Lu Yi's entire body trembled violently. He was so frightened that he could not move. His eyes shrank, filled with deep fear. That black-cloaked man's heart of cooking path. How could it be so strong? Raising his head, his eyes looked at the black-cloaked man in disbelief. Meeting the latter's playful gaze, Lu Yi's heart instantly surged with complete despair. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.